His first mistake.
She had happened to walk in and I was with this other girl. But she's not my girlfriend.
His second mistake.
I got suspended. Couldn't work for a week.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a waiter and busser and bar back.
But his biggest mistake of all.
Maybe you might want to stop by. I'll hook you up. Free comedy show.
What? Sit down.
Judge Judy. Stephen is countersuing, claiming Madeline threw his car keys into a cow pasture.
Come to order, all rise. Now, this is case number 235 on the calendar in the matter of Nieves versus Joel. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in yonder. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Miss Nieves, you claim a loan to the defendant in the amount of $160 for rent.
That's correct.
He called you, he needed some money for rent. He was a friend of yours, off and on boyfriend, so you loaned him the money. That was in what month?
July.
And he hasn't paid you back.
Sure. I never called back.
The defendant says that, yes, you did, in fact, give him $160 for rent. That $160 was a gift, and he never agreed to pay you back. You gave it to him because you were a nice person, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And he has a counterclaim. Mr. Joel says that you threw his keys in a field.
Cow field.
What?
A cow field.
In a cow field. As a result of which, he couldn't find his car keys, he couldn't get to work, he was docked pay, and ultimately lost his job. So he is counterclaiming for $400. So I'm going to deal with his counterclaim first.
Okay.
When was this incident with the car keys?
Like May 30th or something like that. I got
May 30th of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Before the rent?
Yeah, well, that's why I didn't have money for the rent, because Roger claims my keys into a cow field. I didn't lose my job. I don't know where that came from, but I got written up. I have the slip where I got written up and I couldn't work for a week. I lost 40 hours.
Why couldn't you work?
I got suspended.
Okay. May the 30th. Tell me what happened on that day, Mr. Joel.
Well, we were out.
Paper down. It's making me nervous.
We were at this bar, and she had happened to walk in, and I was with this other girl. She gave me kind of like the evil eye, you know what I mean, from across the room. So the next morning, she comes to my house, and she starts yapping about how I got to show her some respect and this and that. But she's not my girlfriend, you know. We just, every now and then, we'll hang around. And my keys are on the patio table. I'm like, I don't want to hear this. I'm taking off. She goes, you ain't going nowhere. And that's when I chucked my keys right into the damn cow field. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't get into work because I had no keys. And there's bulls in that field.
How far from your house did you work?
I don't know.
10 minutes.
About 10 minutes, half an hour by bus. But the way the bus schedule goes, I had to be in work at 5, and I wouldn't get there until like 5:15, 5:30.
You have to take an earlier bus.
Well, if she wouldn't have threw my keys inside the cow field, I wouldn't have to take a bus, right?
But you'd have to take an earlier bus if you
wanted to.
Well,
I did. Well, I took the bus.
Good. Oh, good. Now, after May 30th with the cow field and the key, by the way, did you finally find your keys?
Yeah, it took me about 6 days.
Okay, but you finally found them.
Yes, ma'am.
But you had plenty of time because you weren't going to work, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Did you see Miss Nieves between May 30th and the date in July when she gave you this money?
Yeah, I seen her around.
Did you have dinner with her?
Nah.
Were you ever alone with her?
Yeah, I'm assuming so.
What does that mean?
Well, you know, it's like casual kind of thing. Sometimes we hang out, sometimes we don't, but I'm almost positive we hung out.
I mean alone?
Yeah.
Not at the bar?
Yeah, alone.
Now, when you hung out alone with her, where did you hang out?
At the bar and then probably back at her house.
Did you ever hang out with her at your house alone?
Yeah.
Between May 30th and July when she gave you the money?
Yeah, I think so.
Now, tell me about the conversation that you had with Miss Nieves about your need for money for rent. Where were you when you had this discussion about July's rent?
We were at, actually, we were at one of my friend's house after the bar. We didn't discuss my rent. I'm just like, oh, you know, I got to go home. I got to deal with this. I don't have my money for the rent. She's like, I'm financially secure this month or something like that. She goes, I'd like to help you out. I'm like, cool. That was it. And the only time she bring up that I owed her money is because when I was with, she seen me with this other girl. I started seeing this other girl, and that's when all this came about.
Yes, go ahead.
That story has more BS than the cow fields he's referring to. First of all, I don't know anything about keys. As a matter of fact, I remember...
I'm not interested in the keys.
Okay,
His
well...
countersuit is...
Okay.
Pay careful attention to me. His counterclaim is nonsense. Because if he was truly concerned, angry, felt as if you had done something that caused him to be suspended, then he wouldn't have seen you between May 30th and July. And he would have sued you, which he didn't. And he wouldn't have taken money from you, whether a gift or a loan. So I'm dismissing your counter.
So why wouldn't I take the money
Listen
from
to
her?
me. I'm dismissing your counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's get to your version of how it came about that you parted with $160.
I left work one afternoon, I checked my cell phone, and I got 2 messages from the defendant. When I got home, I realized that he left another 2 messages. When I returned his call, he asked for a favor. When I asked what it was, he said that he needed to borrow some money to pay his rent.
I never said that.
Course,
that's a lie.
And of course, I was hesitant to do so, but he continued to say that his brother was going to give him the money that Friday. And I told him that I would loan him the money only under the condition that his brother was paying him and he would pay me with that money.
Okay. What date did you actually hand him the money?
July 21st. I have a photocopy of the ATM receipt.
And when did you ask him for the money back?
That Friday, July 25th.
Well, he said he was going to get money, according to you, on Friday.
Well, yes, he was going to get money from his brother, which in turn he was going to give it to me. So,
Not the truth. I never mentioned my... She's lying.
So Friday came and went. He never called me. That Saturday, I went down to the restaurant where he works. I told him I was very disappointed that I didn't hear from him. He said that he had to pull some double shift or something and he didn't have time, that he was planning to call me. I asked when I was going to get paid. He asked me to return to the restaurant that evening at closing time, and he could only pay me $50 at that time. And I was a little upset because that wasn't our agreement. I left. I came back at closing time. I asked a coworker to let him know that I was there, and I found out that he already left the premises. So I let things go, let things cool down. I waited a couple of weeks or so. Well, one Thursday, which was, I believe, was August 7th, I was with a girlfriend. We went to the restaurant, and I asked him at that point, when he was planning to pay me back. He was avoiding me by, busting the tables and just walking away from me, and I was getting really frustrated at that point.
I don't mean avoiding you.
Miss Joyelle, one person talks at a time.
I'm sorry.
Okay. So anyway, he avoided me, and I said, I want to know when I'm going to get paid. He says, well, why don't you stop by my house that Sunday? And I said, well, what's going to happen on Sunday? And he became really irritated, and he said, just stop by my house. I said, I want to know what's going to happen on Sunday. And he said, just leave me alone, or I'll have you thrown out of the restaurant. And that's pretty much all of it in a nutshell.
First of all, she's lying, okay? Because this is the guy she said, the co-worker that she was talking about.
No, that wasn't him.
That's him. What the shh?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I know her. If there was the money, I'd assume that she'd probably be like, when he's gonna give me this money or something.
Sit down.
And later today,
Somebody told her that there was a dent in her car, and she didn't go downstairs to look at it.
No.
Is everything that you've told me as truthful as the fact that you don't drive this uninsured car?
Yes, Your Honor.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Madeline Nieves says former friend Stephen Joyle owes for an unpaid loan for rent. Stephen says Madeline flipped out when she saw him with another woman.
What is she lying about, sir?
There was never nothing about paying back. She knew that I was low on rent, and she said she'd like to help me out. So I was like, okay. And she had took me on trips before, take me out, got me loaded, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So she took me to Martha's Vineyard. She took me to
Martha's Vineyard?
I'm not.
Miss Nieves, don't interrupt him.
Right.
The only reason why she's saying that I owe her money is because she's all upset because I'm with this other chick, and that's it.
How old are you?
She never said nothing about money or anything like that.
How old are you?
Huh?
This is not a hard question. They get harder.
How old am I? 29.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a waiter and busser and bar back at a house.
That is a 3-meal-a-day restaurant?
Restaurant, bar, comedy show. Maybe stop by sometime. I know you live in Connecticut.
What?
Nothing. I said maybe you might want to stop by. I'll hook you up. Free comedy show.
What an idiot. Miss Nieves,
Can I
how
ask-
old are you?
I'm 35. Can you please ask his witness about the evening that I went to the restaurant to ask for the money the first time, the same evening that he asked me to return, and he wasn't there? The witness there, Josh, was at the restaurant, and I asked if he's seen him, and he said no.
What day was that? Was that
That
Friday?
was July 26th.
Josh, up here, up here. What do you do at the restaurant?
I am a server at the restaurant.
You don't want to offer me a free night out, do you?
No.
Josh, That's a very wise idea.
Thank you.
But I want you to listen to me very carefully because my question's really not hard. Do you recall Miss Nieves coming into the restaurant to inquire about the whereabouts of Mr. Joyal and her money?
She never mentioned money at all.
What did she say?
She came in, she was like, is Steve here? Steve had gotten off probably like a half hour before she had arrived at the restaurant.
Okay.
She never said anything about money.
To you? She didn't say anything to you about money?
But I've known her for about 6 months, so she's an acquaintance through Steve. I've been over to her house as well with Steve. I know her. So if there was the money, I'd assume that she'd probably be like, you know when he's going to give me this money or something to the sort.
Was I angry?
Sit down.
I just got booted.
Mr. Joyal, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Excuse me?
What do you want to be when you grow up?
I don't know.
Have you thought about it?
No.
Your life is half over.
Hey, take it easy.
No. Life is half over. You got to think about what you want to be. One thing you don't want to be is you don't want to be a bum.
Yeah, that's true.
Too late, Your Honor.
Miss Nieves, you're going to talk yourself into a dismissal. Okay. Do you understand?
I understand.
Fresh mouths don't go here. I don't care what side of the bench you're on.
I apologize.
The only one who's allowed to have a fresh mouth is me. Men who are bums take money from women who like them and who they have no feelings for because they're users. That makes a man a bum. Do you understand?
Sure.
You don't want to be a bum, do you?
Not a bum.
You don't want to be a bum, do you?
Nope.
Good. Then you're going to give Miss Nieves back $160 and you will walk away from this relationship with your head held high and say, she helped me out, but I'm going to do the right thing, and the right thing is to pay her back. That way she doesn't have any hard feelings, and I'm going to be a man instead of a bum. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $150. That's all. And you two can leave, Josh.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I guess Judge didn't believe what I was saying. I think maybe asking her to go to the comedy show was kind of the wrong move.
I guess the judge can identify a liar when she hears one.
You never try to be funny in front of Judge Judy. That don't work.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Scarfuto versus Mahoney. Step forward.
20-year-old student Courtney Scarfuto is suing her boyfriend's roommate, 20-year-old florist Lacey Mahoney, for backing into her car.
Miss Scarfuto, is your boyfriend here? Where is he?
He's right here.
Was this your roommate?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he still your roommate?
Yes.
Okay, according to your complaint, you were over at your boyfriend's home and you claim that the defendant hit your car as she was pulling out of the driveway. Your insurance paid for the damage to your car, but you suffered out-of-pocket expenses, $500 deductible, you had to rent a car for a couple of days while they fixed it, and you also want her to be responsible for the increased insurance premiums that you're going to have to pay. Forget that part of it. Miss Mahoney says she never hit your car. When was your car damaged?
June 10th, 2003.
And what makes you think Miss Mahoney did it?
She came upstairs, asked me to move my car. I asked Christian to move my car for me. He went downstairs.
With her?
Correct. At that time, she told him that she had hit my car.
Oh, you weren't there?
No.
Step up. Last name?
Whiteley.
Okay, let's go to June 10th. Miss Mahoney comes upstairs where you are, and she said what to you?
She pointed out the damage. She said that she had hit the car and that she was unsure whether or not that she should stay there and admit to the mistake or whether she should go ahead and pull around the car and just simply leave.
And what did you tell her?
I told her that it would be best for her to go back upstairs and to notify my girlfriend, Your Honor.
And she said?
After hesitation, she agreed and we went back upstairs.
And what happened when you got upstairs?
Me and Lacey basically reported that the car had got hit by her, even though it was parked. We all agreed that we would go ahead and handle the situation by tomorrow because we're good friends, Your Honor.
And can I speak? And because she did not carry car insurance. And so since she did not carry car insurance, that
How do you not have insurance? How do you drive without insurance?
Your Honor, I wasn't driving. I was actually moving my car backwards so that we could open up the garage door. But it was on my property in my driveway. I was just moving it.
That's driving. Why doesn't your car have insurance?
Because I couldn't afford insurance at the time.
So you're not driving at all? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, I'm not driving at all.
Is that true?
No.
Of course not. They seem to say that you admitted hitting her car.
Your Honor, I never admitted to hitting her car. I went downstairs for Christian to move the car. We both went downstairs. And he noticed the dent and asked if I had done it, and I said no. We went back upstairs, and he told her that there was a dent in her car, and nothing was said for the rest of the night.
That doesn't sound right to me. Somebody told her that there was a dent in her car, and she didn't go downstairs to look at it?
No.
Nobody said anything? Well, who did it? Is everything that you've told me, Miss Mahoney, as truthful as the fact that you don't drive this uninsured car?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't drive my car because it's uninsured and because it's unregistered.
No, you shouldn't drive your car because it's uninsured and not registered. That doesn't mean you don't drive it. Okay. You had a $500 deductible?
Yes, would you like to see the receipt?
You have any other witnesses that you want
yes,
to hear?
Yes, I do. I have Mr. Nicholas Scandalius. He actually heard her say, he was in the room with both Christian and I.
Oh, step up.
And she actually came up and said, I hit your car. Okay.
Are you another roommate?
No, I'm a very close friend of Mr. Whiteley's. I'm his best friend. I happened to be there at the night that the incident occurred.
Tell me what you remember.
All three of us were hanging out upstairs. Courtney asked Christian to move the car so Lacey could back out and leave. They both went down.
Back out and leave. Where was she going?
I have no idea.
Do you know where she was going?
I believe that she was just going to go to Huntington Beach like usual.
Go ahead.
So they both went downstairs to move the cars and whatnot. Lacey's car was directly in front of Miss Scarfudo's car in a driveway, so there's no way she could have left to right or anything. They promptly both came back upstairs very quickly, and Lacey said, "Oh my God, Courtney, I hit your car." I walked over to the windows, I saw a little dent in the hood, and Lacey's car was still behind Miss Scarfudo's car. That's what I saw, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Sit down. I see the deductible, please, and the damage to the car.
And then these photographs are Lacey's car with the spare tire, which damaged my hood. Pictures of my hood with the imprint of her spare tire, as well as the driveway.
How long did it take to fix the car?
It took 10 days, times $23.99.
So between the $500 deductible and the rental car for the days that it took to fix your car, it was $922. What else?
I'm requesting the money that the insurance paid as well, because I do not believe that Lacey should benefit from the insurance that I pay every month.
Baloney.
Okay.
That's what insurance is for. Ms. Scarfudo. What?
I didn't hit the car.
Yes,
and
you did.
Honestly,
yes, you did.
No.
You didn't hit the car, and you weren't going to leave in your car.
No, I was not.
You were just moving it.
No.
And you don't drive your car ever.
No.
Because it's not registered and you have no insurance.
Yes.
I don't believe you. Can you think of any reason why these two people and this gentleman would lie?
Courtney has been jealous of me and Christian.
I don't want to hear her jealous. Him.
Because
Explain that
Christian is Courtney's boyfriend.
Right.
And Courtney throws a fit when she doesn't get her way.
And what about him?
Nick is Christian's best friend. And
so everybody's ganging up against you?
Yeah.
Sorry. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $922. Thank you. That's all. Step out.
Please excuse. You may step out.
I think she got it hit before she came over and then blamed it on me.
I think that that's ridiculous, and I don't think I'm going to waste my time and my money to come to something like this if I was lying.
She's a really jealous person, and she screams and throws fits and cries all night when she doesn't get her way.
I think that she's just trying to get out of it.
She's just crazy.
I'm glad it's done, and like Rodney King said, can't we all just get along?
He's not a millionaire.
I don't have no money. I'm broke.
He's not a bachelor.
Her mother hated my guts.
But in this court, he'll deal with a whole new reality.
Not correct, Your Honor.
No, it is correct because I say it is correct.
This chick, this little girl cheated on me.
Listen to me.
Hold on a second.
No, you hold on.
Yeah,
Judge Judy.
What do you want?
I want to
Suing his ex-girlfriend, 19-year-old stay-at-home mother Catherine Ellis, for the cost of a prom dress and a Raiders jersey.
Yes, case number 291 on the calendar in the matter of Leal versus Ellis. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Who are you?
I'm a witness for my brother, Bobby Leal.
Mr. Leal, the defendant used to be your girlfriend, and according to you, she owes you some money for 2 items of clothing that you purchased for her.
That's correct.
and that you want back a piece of jewelry that you gave to her.
That's correct.
Okay. So tell me how long you and the defendant dated.
Okay, we were dated approximately 8 months.
From when to when?
I believe it was from September to May. That's when the breakup, May 21st, May 22nd was the breakup.
Okay. And when was the first loan that you claim to have made to her?
That was approximately December 21st.
Of what year?
Of 2002.
December of 2002. Well, tell me about that loan, sir.
That was for a Raider jersey.
A Raiders jersey?
That's correct.
A shirt?
No, it's a jersey. It's a throwback jersey. It's not a shirt.
It's to cover the upper part of your body.
That's correct. Now, I had purchased Oakland Raider tickets to go to the Oakland Coliseum and watch the Raiders play Kansas City Chiefs. Now, she wanted to go to the game. I had purchased 4 tickets. One for me, one for my brother, one for my sister. So I told her, okay, I have an extra ticket. You know, you willing to go? She said, yeah. Now, that was the 21st of December. Okay, now the game was December 28th. Now, she was complaining about how she didn't have a jersey and she had nothing to wear. So I told her, you can wear anything you want. It doesn't matter to me. And she goes, she threw a big fit, and I said, okay, fine, what do you want to do? She goes, I'll pay you for a jersey if you purchase me a jersey so I can go to the game with you.
So you
I don't want to look funny at the game. I said, fine. You're going to pay me back? She said, yeah. That was the first loan.
Okay. Now, what was the next loan for?
The next loan was basically March 27th. I loaned her a dress that she's supposed to pay me back for.
Well, tell me about the dress. It wasn't your dress, was it?
No, it wasn't. The dress that I purchased for her was a dress that she needed for a prom that she invited me to.
She invited you to her prom?
That's correct.
And tell me how it came about that you purchased a dress for her.
Okay. Her mother would not buy her anything for the prom because of the fact that she was with me, and her mother hated my guts. Why? I have no idea.
And you were her boyfriend?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And you had been her boyfriend since September of 2002?
That's correct.
And this was March 2003?
That's correct.
And she wanted to go to the prom. Her mother wouldn't help her out. So what did she say to you?
What happened was we had went to the school to pay for the tickets for the prom. Now, the tickets, that was a gift for me to pay for the tickets. I paid for the tickets with my expense. Now, the dress, she told me, okay, you know, my mother won't buy me a dress, and I don't have no money, I'm broke. Would you be able to buy me a dress, and I'll pay you back with my child support money that I get every month? I said, okay, we can do that. So what happened is I purchased a dress as a loan for Catherine.
Okay. Now, from December 2002 until March 27th, 2003, did she pay you back for the jersey?
She didn't pay me back for anything, Your Honor.
So after you made this loan to her, which she did not fulfill,
That's
is that
correct.
right? You lent her even more money for the dress. Is that right?
Yes, but the dress was a loan.
And what about the jersey?
The jersey was also a loan, too.
Well, that's what I'm saying to you, sir. After she didn't pay you back for the jersey, didn't pay you back in December, January, February, March. She didn't pay you back, so you lent her more money for the dress.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what about this jewelry you want returned?
Now, this jewelry was a symbol of our relationship, okay? It was two gold open hearts with a real fine necklace that goes around the neck, Your Honor. That necklace...
When did you give it to her, Mr. Leo?
I did not give it to her. It was a symbol of our relationship that was for
When
us.
did you give it to her? If you took it out of your hand and you put it on her neck, then you gave it to her.
I would say before the prom.
What month?
I have no idea.
So you don't remember?
I don't remember what month.
Shh. Okay. As a symbol of your relationship, now the relationship is over, you want it back.
That's correct.
All right. Now, are you a witness to what?
I'm a witness to the prom dress.
Step up. Tell me your last name.
Guerrero?
Okay. You're his sister.
Yes.
What are you a witness to?
2 weeks before the prom, I had asked her if she had anything to wear to the prom, because I know her mom and her didn't get along, and they were always just talking really bad about each other, so I asked her if she had anything to wear. And she said, you know, Bobby bought me a dress, and I'm going to pay him back as soon as, you know, I get some money. And I said, okay. And so we just actually began speaking about other things.
Good. I see. Okay. Now, Miss Ellis, let's start with the jersey. Let's have, in 30 seconds or less, your version of the jersey, please.
We were at the mall, and he decided, oh, there's Raiders tickets I would like to buy. So we shopped around. He bought a jersey, and he told me, you know, if you want to go to the game, you got to get a jersey. He wasn't going to let me go to the game
That's
without...
wrong, Your Honor.
Did she interrupt you when you were speaking?
Without...
Shh. Did she interrupt you when you were speaking?
No, ma'am.
Then don't interrupt her. Go ahead.
He wasn't going to let me go to the game without wearing...
So you're saying he just bought you the jersey?
He bought the jersey. He threw a
let's
fit
get on.
and made me pick one out. So I did.
Good. The next thing that happened was this gold chain. Do you remember when that was?
That was in March. I don't know the exact day, but it was in March. I got, for Valentine's Day, a card stuck to my front door that says, "Your gift will come soon," on it. You want to look at that?
Please.
In March, he went out shopping.
Okay.
He didn't say anything about it being like a promise
Whatever,
type
it's a
of
gift.
thing.
It's a gift. He doesn't get that back. Doesn't
So
get that back to her.
that's basically the necklace.
Perfect. Now let's get to the prom dress.
I decided I was going to go to prom, and I asked him, obviously, he was my boyfriend, so I asked him if he wanted to go. He agreed. He was all excited, hyped up about going, and...
Look at me. Look at me.
Sorry.
So far, you're batting 1,000. Let's not tell anything that's untrue.
I'm not.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
This chick, this little girl, she cheated on me.
Listen,
hold on a second.
Mr. Leo. No,
hold on a
Mr.
second.
Leo.
Okay, I work.
No! You hold on!
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Bobby Leal says ex-girlfriend Catherine Ellis owes for a prom dress, a Raiders jersey, and a necklace he says was a symbol of their relationship.
So you asked him to go to the prom.
I asked him to go to the prom. He agreed. He wanted me to look good. Obviously, we went dress shopping for about a week or so, and he found the dress that I actually got, and he purchased it.
I mean, he found it without you there?
No. We found the dress, and he
You were
bought
together?
it. Yeah.
You were together? No,
Yeah.
the question is...
No, it was not alone. I never agreed to pay him back for it. It was not alone. He was my boyfriend. It was, you know, the thing to do. And
okay. Did you ever have a conversation with Miss Guerrero, his sister?
No, I
about
did
the
not.
dress? Yes.
She did have a conversation at my house telling me that my brother bought her a dress and that she was going to pay him back as soon as she got money.
That never happened.
I told her that he bought the dress, yes, but I never
that you were
told
going to pay him back.
I never told her that I was going to pay him back. I wouldn't tell somebody that.
Okay.
If it
How much
wasn't
was the
alone.
dress, Mr. Leal?
I got the receipt right here. I got the pictures of the prom day with the necklace. If you'd like to take a look at that, Your Honor.
No. The dress was $86.37?
That's correct.
Okay. Listen to me very carefully, Mr. Leal. I do not believe that...
Please?
Sit down now. The jersey that you purchased for her as a gift in December of 2002.
That is not correct, Your Honor.
No, it is correct because I say it is correct for the purposes of these proceedings, Mr. Leal. The necklace that you bought for her was a gift. You don't get those things back.
Your Honor,
I'm speaking. The dress, however, I believe she said she would pay you back for because I believe your sister and I believe you to the extent that when you went shopping for the dress for her, it was your intention and her intention to pay you for the cost of the dress, not for the jersey, not for the necklace. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Ellis, I don't believe you that you never had a conversation with Miss Guerrero with regard to the dress. I believe that you did, in fact, say to her that Bobby bought me the dress and I'm going to pay him back, and you are going to pay him back. It's $86.37. The necklace, of course, is yours. What do you want?
I wanted to say something to you, Your Honor, that was really important. Okay, the time being that I was with Miss Catherine Ellis, okay, there's been times where I work graveyard shift, okay? I work graveyard shift every single day. And every single day that I was with her, this chick, this little girl, she cheated on me.
Listen
hold on
to
a
me,
second.
Mr. Leal. No,
hold on a
Mr.
second.
Leal.
Okay, I work.
No, you hold on. You have to put a period and get over your anger.
Right.
Listen to me.
What about the child?
No, you have to put a period, Mr. Leal, and get over your anger.
Right.
She broke up with you.
Right.
It's over.
No sympathy at all. That's correct.
It's over. It's over. This is not a long-term marriage that you had. This was a relationship that you have, and relationships end, and sometimes they're better off ending before they become more serious, before you have a baby, before you have bills and things that you've accumulated together, right? I want you to start absorbing what I'm saying to you. You just want to talk. I'm not your psychiatrist. I'm not your psychologist. I'm not your therapist. I am a judge. I am here to determine 3 things. Whether the jersey was a gift, I say it was a gift. Whether you get the necklace back, that was also a gift. The dress, however, the cost of the dress was a loan, which I find she promised to pay you back. That ends your legal interaction with Miss Ellis.
And what about this?
Do you want?
What about her sending a bunch of guys?
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Okay.
That ends your legal action with Miss Ellis.
Okay.
And if you are smart, you will end all contact with her. She will end all contact with you. You will go home with your sister, who is a little concerned about you. There's no question. I look at Miss Guerrero and I say to myself, she's a little worried about him, that he's going to fly off the handle. Don't fly off the handle. It's over. You will have another interest in your life. You will have another relationship in your... Perfect.
Okay,
then you get $86.37 from her. Bird, I've had it. Say goodbye to these people for me.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Respect. Respect. That's all I want is respect.
He's jealous.
I have no sympathy for the little girl, and I'm just going to go my way. She goes her way, and that's it.
He's an idiot, and I am never going to date anybody like him again.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Zook versus Brown. Step forward, please.
Computer business owner Carl Zook is suing 27-year-old bartender Kristen Brown for crashing into his parked car. Kristen says Carl is suing the wrong person.
Mr. Zook, would you remove that from the bench, please? Thank you very much. Mr. Zook, on what date was your parked car destroyed?
It was August 11th of 2002.
According to what I've read, your car was parked in front of your home, or not far from your home, and you were awakened by some loud noise. You came outside to find that your car had been severely damaged by a car that was white in color. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you saw the car pull away, and then the car came back again, barreling down the street and took off. As it turns out, I find that the car that damaged your car belonged to the defendant.
That's correct.
The defendant says that her car was stolen by someone. She doesn't know who. It's out of her control, and therefore she is not responsible for the damage to your car. You want her to pay for the damage to your car.
That's correct.
She says she's not responsible for the damage to your car. She wasn't driving her car when the incident happened. Her car was stolen. Is that what the case is about?
I don't know if the defendant claims the car is stolen.
The car wasn't in her control.
Correct.
She didn't have it.
Correct.
Okay. August 11th, 2002, where were you?
I was bartending.
What time did you go to work on the 11th?
I had to be there at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m.
9 p.m.?
Yes.
Who is this?
This is the other bartender that night, and we both closed the bar together.
Okay. So when you got to work at 9 o'clock, you were driving. What kind of car were you driving?
I have a white Acura.
What year?
94.
Where did you park the car?
There's a parking lot behind the bar.
Any other cars there?
Yeah, quite a few.
Okay, and what time did you close up?
The bar closes at 2, and then it takes us at least 45 minutes, sometimes an hour and a half to close down the bar. We have to count out the register, clean the bar, tip out the doorman, all sorts of stuff. So we usually leave about 3 a.m.
Okay, 2 o'clock, closed, 2:45, 3 o'clock, you're out the door. And what happens when you get outside?
Usually get in my car and go home.
Well, what happened on the 11th of August?
That night, I actually, right before closing...
Try looking at me, right here.
Sorry. Right before closing, I think I was starting to gather my stuff. I usually keep my car keys and other, lipstick, personal belongings on the back of the bar, and I noticed that my car keys were gone. And I ran out the back door to the parking lot and then noticed that my car was gone. And I had figured it's a really local bar. I have a ton of friends that hang out there. Everybody knows my car, and I just figured, one of my friends had too many drinks, did something stupid, took off with my car, so then I just asked the door guy if he could give me a ride home, and he took me home.
Mm-hmm. What information does this person have to contribute to this case?
Well, Peter can testify that at the time that the accident happened, I was still working, so that I was not behind the wheel of the car.
I don't even think that this gentleman thinks that you were necessarily behind the wheel of the car.
Well,
that doesn't mean that you didn't give the keys to somebody. What time is your car damaged?
1:55 a.m.
So she was working?
Yes.
I believe you were working. I don't believe that you are clueless as to who had your car. Madam, do you want to know why?
Why?
2 reasons. Because instead of bringing a witness who can testify to your surprise when you got outside and saw that you didn't have a car, you brought somebody who was going to just tell me that you were there. That was never an issue with the police, that it was you behind the wheel of the car. Maybe a boyfriend. Maybe a friend to whom you had given the keys. And second, that you didn't report this car stolen, did you?
No.
Well, here we have your white Acura that's missing. It's in the middle of the night. It's your only means of transportation. And you don't call the police to say to them, listen, somebody took my car, especially since you just said to me, I thought maybe one of my friends who had been drinking or something took my car. Somebody's drinking, driving your car in the middle of the night, and you don't think that that's cause to pick up the phone and call the police? For those reasons, madam, I don't believe your story. The police may have believed your story, but I don't. Who's Tom?
That was my boyfriend at the time.
Well, Tom brought your car in to be repaired.
That's what boyfriends do for girlfriends.
If they drive the car.
Or just as a favor.
Or if they drive the car. Oh, good. I'm glad to see this police officer also finds that you're full of baloney. Brown did not want to file a stolen vehicle report. I questioned her about the facts and told her that I did not find her story credible. Wow. Oh. Good for you. I asked her if she was willing to take a polygraph test. She declined. The boyfriend was also offered to take a polygraph test. He also miraculously declined. Ugh. Can I see the bills, please? I had enough. Friend?
No, Your Honor.
When did he stop being your boyfriend?
Just recently.
Did he dump you or did you dump him?
It was mutual.
That's usually not true. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $5,000, which doesn't cover the damage, sir, but it's all I can give you. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I'm really happy that Judge Judy could see right through the story.
Figured if somebody took my car, it was somebody that knew me and knew it was my car.
The defendant's story wasn't at all credible.
More than likely a friend just being stupid at the moment.
No, I don't buy that at all.
I hope he gets his car fixed.
They partied hard.
They all got splash drunk. You wrecked the hotel room.
Yep.
You were, in fact, arrested?
That's right.
So who will pay for this hotel melee? Well, isn't it obvious?
Any particular reason you vandalized it? That was a big mistake.
Judge Judy.
Practice these words. I'm sorry I did the wrong thing. I'm sorry I did the wrong thing. I'm sorry.
Thad White for the cost of a trashed hotel room. Thad says Darlene is trying to stick him with someone else's debt.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 255 on the calendar, the matter of Connolly versus White. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Thaddeus, is that right?
Yes.
How old are you, Thaddeus?
I'm 26.
So you were 25 when you rented this hotel room and vandalized it, is that right?
That is correct.
What kind of work do you do, Thaddeus?
I'm a cook.
How long have you been a cook at the place where you're currently employed?
I'm not employed at this moment, actually.
So you do nothing?
No. I'm a little injured right now. I can't work.
What's the nature of your injury?
Well, because I work with my hands. I got a dislocated finger. I can't.
How long have you had a dislocated finger?
About a week and a half, 2 weeks.
And prior to that, where were you working, Thaddeus?
I was working at Sylvester's in Los Osos, California.
Could you stand still?
Oh, yeah.
According to Ms. Connolly's complaint, this is what this case is about. Bert, I want you to pay careful attention. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible so Thaddeus can understand what the case is about, okay?
Okey doke.
Thaddeus, another woman, and Miss Connolly were in a hotel room. Mr. White, that's Thaddeus over here, he had rented the hotel room. They all got splash drunk and wrecked the hotel room. Now, Miss Connolly was 17 years old at the time, but Mr. Thaddeus White and the other young lady were over the age of 18. They were, in fact, arrested.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. White.
Oop. Sorry.
Mr. White asked Miss Connolly if she could help out because the hotel was prepared to drop the charges if the people who done vandalized the property paid for it.
Oh.
Got it?
Sounds good.
Mr. White, despite the fact that he had more years, less brains, but more years than the other two, he said to Miss Connolly, I will give you back the money, half of it, and the other lady, what was her name?
Her name is Vanessa.
Vanessa is going to give you back the other half. So Miss Connolly said, well, I was there too, and I wasn't arrested because I was only 17. They let me off the hook. Miss Connolly said, I am going to cash in all the money I have in the world, a CD, so that I can give you the money so we can pay off the hotel, and then it'll all be neat. So far, is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Mr. White paid back
I
how
gave
much?
her $400.
Leaving how much on the debt to Miss Connolly?
$1,200.
Is that right, Miss Connolly?
Yes, at the time it was correct.
But then Vanessa, the elusive Vanessa, left the jurisdiction. So Miss Connolly said to Thaddeus, well, she left the jurisdiction, you got to pay her half too, right?
That is true.
Mr. White said, well, if that's what you have to say, I'm not paying anything. I'm not paying the $1,200 that I owe you, or I'm not paying her money either. Isn't that what you said?
Pretty much.
Now, just a couple of background questions so that I understand the nature of your stupidity.
Okay.
You rented this room when?
Around June 2nd.
What did you rent it for, Thaddeus?
To stay in a couple days as if between moving.
So you needed a place to stay?
Yeah.
And was this a hotel or a motel?
Yeah.
It's hotel.
Hotel.
Only your finger was injured, is that right?
As far as I know. Did have a terrible skateboarding accident, kind of hit my face. I could have done some damage.
Okay. So you rented the hotel, motel to stay in. You stayed there for a couple of days. When did you invite Miss Connolly and Vanessa to join you?
Actually, she came with one of my co-workers that I worked with at Pizza Port.
Who provided the alcohol?
I provided my own alcohol. She came with alcohol herself.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Shh. Anyway, everybody got drunk.
Mm-hmm.
And you vandalized the hotel?
Yes, we did.
Any particular reason for that?
Drunken stupidity, I guess.
Well, that's honest. Where do you live now?
I live in Morro Bay, California.
With whom?
My parents.
How long have you lived with your parents?
I just moved back to Morro Bay in April.
They must be thrilled.
Oh, they love me. Can I say?
When did you make your first payment, Thaddeus?
I think it was on the first paycheck I got from my work.
Why did you stop making payments, Thaddeus?
I never knew how to get a hold of her.
I came into your work like every single day.
Look,
No,
don't
you
talk to him, talk to me.
Well, I went into his work.
Every
because
time I
my
had the money,
boyfriend
she was
at the
never
time-
around.
You didn't have
Don't talk
any.
to him.
Thad didn't have any identification, so he couldn't even go to the bank and cash his checks. So he had to go to the bank with his boss, and it was a big deal. Half the time the bank wouldn't cash it. It's not my responsibility that he has no identification and he can't go about getting money. So every time I went in, he's like, oh, hold
He's
on.
25?
Yes.
And he doesn't have any money?
Oh, no, I lost my wallet and I didn't have ID to cash my checks with.
What ID did you have in your wallet?
My California identification card?
How long were you without it?
I don't know. Close to 6 months.
Do you have a driver's license?
Not at the moment.
Why not?
A little trouble.
What kind of trouble?
I got a DUI a while ago.
When?
I'm not really sure. It was a long time ago.
That's why they took away your driver's license, Thaddeus? Because you had one DUI?
Yep, that's right.
No, Thaddeus, that's not right. I think you forgot something. You left out a couple of pieces to the puzzle.
No.
Did you go for classes?
Oh yeah, I did most of the classes. Then I moved.
Well, that's
and
the problem. You did most of the classes.
I didn't.
We have
that's
to
why I
do-
can't get my license back
You
right
have
now.
to do all the classes, Thaddeus.
Yeah, I know.
Your parents must be thrilled having you home.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
What happened to the car, Jennifer?
Andrew had been talking to his father, and his father decided that he shouldn't be driving. There was some snow on the road. It was pretty much dry.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Darlene Connolly says former friend Thad White owes for trashing a hotel room during a night of partying.
Miss Connolly, he doesn't know you for Vanessa. You have to go find Vanessa. You have to go find Vanessa because I'm not making it easy for you, madam, because you were just as stupid as he was.
Yes.
So you go find Vanessa. But he owes you $1,200. He acknowledges he owes you $1,200. He doesn't owe you Vanessa's share. Go find a judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thad started out by throwing his shoes against the wall.
Cut back on the 151 or something, probably.
Then a very large and expensive wooden chair off the third floor balcony.
Pay attention more often when I'm like drinking or whatever.
And then pretty much everything else in the hotel room off the balcony.
But it doesn't really matter. Everything's fine with me.
I was young, stupid, whatever.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Johnson versus Oleksiak Galgan, step forward, please.
Real estate agent Jeff Johnson is suing 18-year-old Andrew Oleksiak and his girlfriend, 19-year-old nanny Jennifer Galgan, for damage to his vehicle. Jeff says while test driving his car, the couple had a wreck.
Mr. Johnson, son?
Yes, son Gregory.
No. You weren't there the day that your son Gregory gave them the car to test drive, or were you?
I was.
You were?
Yes.
Oh, then that makes it all the better. You want them to pay you, these two people, $5,000 because she had an accident with a car that you and or your son was selling. They came over to take a test drive. He got in the car, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
You gave him permission to test drive the car, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
He got around the corner. He gave her permission to get behind the wheel. She had an accident and wrecked the car. Is that what this case is about?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's relatively easy. Give me the date.
February 18th,
What time of the day?
8:30 in the evening.
How did they get to your car? Was there a sign on the car, or did they know your son?
It was advertised for sale.
And they came over. So you didn't know them prior to this date, is that right?
I personally did not. My son did.
Oh, step up. First name?
Gregory.
Yours?
Andrew, Your Honor.
How old are you?
17.
And you?
18, Your Honor.
How old were you in February?
17, Your Honor.
First name?
Jennifer.
How old are you, Jennifer?
19.
Were you 18 or 19 in February?
I was 19.
Now, how did you know Andrew?
He had came to see the car prior to the day that that they crashed the car. He had came over to look at the car before that day.
So you didn't know him from school. It was just a business.
No, ma'am.
Did you ask him how old he was?
No.
Did you?
I did not.
That was a big mistake. Because at 17, he's not responsible. You have no case against him. You understand that? Well, if you don't, I'm telling you. He's a minor. And he is shielded by a law that says minors are not responsible for what they do. You know that?
Yes, I do.
Then if you know that, why did you sue him?
I think there was a fraud that was created when he allowed Jennifer to drive the vehicle. He had driven the vehicle once prior and had proven that he was capable of driving the vehicle. And then he somehow, in a period of 9 residential households, decided he shouldn't be driving a car without a driver's license and turned the keys over to his girlfriend.
Let me tell you this. If he was 17, 16, 15 years old and came to your house to buy the car, and you gave him permission to drive the car, which you had done before because he test drove the car before, and if he was in an accident in that car and got seriously injured, his mother would sue you. You would be liable. Do you understand that? A minor cannot be held liable for acts such as breach of contract, negligence. He wasn't even negligent. He did something that a kid would do. He said, Jennifer, you can drive the car. Is this your girlfriend?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm. But Jennifer's responsible. What happened to the car, Jennifer?
We traded places, and I started
Why
driving.
did you trade places after he let Andrew drive the car?
Because Andrew had been talking to his father, and his father decided that he shouldn't be driving. Andy thought about that, and then there was some snow on the road. It was pretty much dry.
Andy was talking to his father in the car
No,
after Mr.
no.
Johnson gave him the keys?
No, after the first time that Andy had driven the car, he
Okay.
was talking to his dad.
Okay, just a second. Jennifer, I just want to get it all clear. Andrew took a test drive on the car and then said to you at some point on the 18th of February, I would like to go back and test drive the car again to see if I want to buy it. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes.
And you said, fine, let's go. You get to the Johnson house, and Mr. Johnson is there. Andy says, take the keys, I want to take the car around. I'd like my girlfriend to ride with me. Is that,
Yes, Your
in
Honor.
sum and substance, that's what happened?
Yes.
Now, what I want to know, Jennifer, is when did this epiphany strike Andrew about the conversation that he had had with his father?
Oh, he was thinking about it the whole time. He was worried, but
well, just a minute. Was he
really
worried as you? Just a second, Jennifer. Was he worried as you pulled up to Mr. Johnson's house? Do you think? Just a second. You think he was worried when he pulled up to Mr. Johnson's house?
I guess.
And was he worried when he took the keys from Mr. Johnson and Mr. Johnson put the keys in his hand and Andy got in the car? Was he worried then?
I guess.
And was he worried when he took the keys and put the keys in the ignition and turned the ignition on and put his foot on the gas?
Yes, but then...
And was he worried when he pulled out of the driveway or away from Mr. Johnson's car and pulled around the block? He was worried?
Yes.
Okay, so this epiphany came to him that he could no longer drive this car as he turned the corner. Is that what happened?
Yes,
The
Your Honor.
epiphany came to you.
Yes.
You know what an epiphany is?
Not quite, Your Honor.
Stay in school. Okay, so after Andrew had the epiphany, I assume you know what an epiphany is. We give a test later. Andrew said what to you?
He just asked me to drive it. He said he...
What did he say? No, I want to know what he said. He didn't say. He said, hon, will you drive the car? Or, listen, I'm going to get out of the car now, or I've just had my epiphany.
He just said, you know what, there's a little bit of snow on the road. I really don't think I should be driving. Would you please take over for me?
Why did you get in the car with him in the first place knowing he didn't have a license?
I wasn't really thinking about that.
You hadn't had your epiphany yet. So what happened?
I started driving. It was pretty dark. For the most part, the roads were clear, and then all of a sudden the road was covered in snow. This car started fishtailing, and it hit a tree.
And was it destroyed?
The front end was pretty bad.
What kind of car is this, Mr. Johnson?
This is a Mazda MX-6, 1993.
You have a blue book on the car with the mileage that you had on your car?
I don't have a blue book value, but I have an estimate of the damages.
The car's 10 years old. How many miles did the car have on it?
Car had
75,000.
What were you selling it for?
3,800, I believe.
How much was
We had
the car
agreed.
listed?
We had agreed to 3,800, Your Honor.
Why are you suing for $5,000?
The damage repair was in excess to $5,000, so if they didn't want to finish the transaction, we would have had to repair the car in order to make it saleable again. In its current condition, it's certainly not saleable.
But you agreed to sell it to him for $3,800, so the value of the car to you was $3,800.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Where's the car now?
The car is parked behind a friend's shop and not drivable.
Well, it's not drivable. Maybe Jennifer can drive it. She just bought it for $3,800. Right, Jennifer? It's your fault. You shouldn't have gotten behind the wheel of the car. You shouldn't have been driving with him. He had no license. Now, Mr. Johnson was probably wrong. He should have said to Andrew, Andrew, let me see your driver's license because I want to make sure you have a valid driver's license and that you're over the age of 18. Should have done that. What?
Your Honor, state of Michigan is a no-fault state. I'm not sure if you're aware of no fault, but in this particular case, Mr. Johnson's car was not insured. It did not have collision or comprehensive insurance. It had what they call personal liability and property damage.
Yes.
And in Michigan, we have the mini tort liability law, which enables somebody to sue for up to only $500, only to cover a deductible in which insurance would pay for. So Mr. Johnson should only be able to get $0 because he was uninsured, Your Honor.
Let me ask you this question, Andrew. Let's talk about common sense. The law is supposed to have a certain common sense to it. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And if the law does not have a common sense to it, then it's wrong. Is that right?
No, Your Honor.
Yes. Certain laws were enacted at the time of horse and buggies. That's no longer applicable. When was the last time you saw a horse and buggy on the 10 freeway? At the end of a trial, what's supposed to happen is the just and fair thing. You and your girlfriend deprived Mr. Johnson of the ability to sell his car for $3,800 because you were not honest with Mr. Johnson about the fact that you did not have a driver's license. Now, when you went back, according to your girlfriend, you felt a little guilty because you had conned him, because according to your girlfriend, you knew you shouldn't be driving. You knew you didn't have a license, which is the reason why you asked her to drive the car. She also did the wrong thing because you're right around the corner. All you had to do was pull the car over, park it, go back and say, the roads look bad, I don't have a license, I left the car there, I'm sorry. You chose not to do that. You chose to let Jennifer drive the car.
Jeffrey Johnson chose to threaten my entire family to kill us if we didn't pay.
I want you to practice these words when you're in bed at night, when you have a quiet moment. I want you to try practicing these words because I don't think that you've said them often enough in your life at the appropriate time. I'm sorry I did the wrong thing. 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 It was my fault. I'll take responsibility. I want you to practice that. You'll be a much happier adult when you do. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,800 against you, Jennifer. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, for me, this case was about teaching my son the difference between right and wrong.
You should have never given me the keys in the first place. I'm a minor.
Things happen in life, but you have to step up to the plate and take care of them as they happen.
I originally had agreed to pay him the $3,800 until he wrote these insane comments on the internet.
It was joking.
Quote, neither of us have collisions, so not much insurance can do. If he ends up blowing me off, there will be hell to pay.
They were threats, but they weren't threats that I planned on doing.
If I'm screwed out of $3,700, blood will flow and my path will be secretive.
I didn't plan on acting out on anything.
Glad they got their money.
They were talking, and they kept talking.
Oh, that's rude.
So I got up to leave, and I had a big soda in my hand, and I poured it over his head.
It's Revenge of the Moviegoers.
Other than your wounded ego, what injuries you sustained?
I was diagnosed with a chemical burn in my eye. I sprung my back and went to the chiropractor.
See the groans?
Judge Judy.
Sir, these are just bills. You have a report from the chiropractor?
They're paid bills.
I'm asking you if you have a report from the chiropractor.
No.
No. Then you know that this is nonsense. So far, the only bill I have is $40 for your eye exam on or about the 12th of November. What else?
In addition to the chiropractor.
Chiropractor I'm not considering,
In
sir. I don't know whether you sprained your... Listen to me. I don't know whether you sprained your back hopping into your car. I don't know whether you sprained your back or neck at all. I have no idea. When you come to court, you have to have a doctor's report. A doctor's report will tell you exactly what you were treated for, what you complained of, what your symptoms were. Paid bills is not it. What else?
There was more to the eyes than just a $40 bill. How much is your eyesight worth to you?
How much is my eyesight worth? I don't know. How is your eyesight between the time that she poured the soda on your head and today? What has been the progression of your eye disease?
Well, I used to wear contact lenses all of the time, and after the incident where the contents of the cup were dumped on my eyes, I have never been able to wear contacts again. That's why I had to buy eyeglasses.
As I said, I'm not excusing the defendant's behavior. I think that she acted inappropriately in a juvenile manner, and I am unsympathetic. I'm also unsympathetic, sir, with your request for $3,000 in medical expenses and pain and suffering because somebody just got really annoyed enough at you and your rudeness to act out her worst fantasy, which was to get up and pour her drink over your head and say, you annoyed me and the rest of the people in this theater, and now I'm going to annoy you and make your life a little bit miserable. Because all I wanted to do this morning was come and see a very good movie, and you destroyed that moment for me, you and your chatty friend. And I'm going to get even with you. And everybody here has had a moment like that. You had no right to do that. She also had no right to throw soda on him. By the way, did you ever at any time apologize to her for using profanity and calling her a name?
No, I would expect that she would apologize to me and be responsible for taking some anger management course.
Mm-hmm. What's the name? Oh, gee, there used to be a woman who dealt in etiquette. I'm trying to think. Miss Manners. She owes you an apology. She does. You owe her an apology.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Haas claims his eyes were burned when Linda Terhune dumped soda on his head at a movie theater. Linda says Michael wouldn't stop talking during the film.
Now, he had out-of-pocket expense of $40. I'm giving him 10 times those damages, $400. Now, there's a passive-aggressive piece of you, sir. I'm not exactly sure what the diagnosis would be, but it's certainly passive-aggressive. Because if you can go into a public theater and somebody says to you, could you please be quiet? And instead of just saying, well, I didn't realize I was disturbing somebody, turn around and curse them, and then continue to annoy them, there is some passive aggressiveness about you. And while she needs some anger management classes, you probably need a couple of good hours on a shrink's couch. That's it, $400 for the plaintiff.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I think it speaks volumes to the lack of gentility that we now have in our country, where someone can assault you in a public place and skate as easily as Mr. Hune did.
The only thing that surprises me is that more people don't pour sodas on Mr. Haas's head.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Weber versus Crittenden. Step forward, please.
Homemaker Lisa Weber is suing her neighbor, Sarah Crittenden, for the cost to replace a car window. Lisa says Sarah's 7-year-old son, Zach, broke it when he threw a rock at her daughter.
Miss Weber, is this your daughter?
Yes.
And who is this gentleman?
My husband.
I'd like your husband to stand up with you. It is your claim that the defendant's little boy threw a rock and hit the window of your car, breaking it.
Yes.
Is that right? When did that happen?
August the 1st. It was on a Friday night.
Shattering the window.
Were you outside, sir?
Yes, I was.
Did you see this happen?
I didn't actually see the rock leave his hand, but I was standing right next to the window with my neighbor, and it flew right in front of me and hit the window.
Was it in the front yard of
Yes,
your
ma'am.
house?
I was in a driveway.
Is that where your daughter had been playing?
Yeah, she was out there with me.
So this is what I gather happened. And this is from putting together some pieces. Your daughter was outside playing in the front yard, and so was Mrs. Crittenden's son, whose name is?
Zach.
And your name is?
Ashley.
Ashley was trying to get Zachary to go home.
Yes.
Is that right, Ashley? You can come over and stand next to your father. And you are 12 years old.
Yes.
And Zachary is 7. And at some point, Ashley picked up a rock and threw it in Zachary's direction, where he was standing in a flower bed. Isn't that right, Ashley?
No, I was throwing it in the flower bed.
Which is where he happened to be standing.
Yes.
And it hit him.
He jumped in front of it.
It hit him.
Yes.
Yeah. But Zachary picked up
So,
the rock.
I'm speaking. Okay. So Zachary picked up the rock that you threw at him, right?
Yes.
And he threw it back at you.
Yes.
And that's the rock that hit your car, right?
I believe so, yes.
So what I want to know, Mr. Weber, where were you when your 12-year-old daughter threw a rock at 7-year-old Zachary?
I was standing right in the driveway talking to my neighbor.
Why didn't you stop her?
I had already told Zach to leave. I didn't even see with them going on there. My neighbor told him to get off the property.
Why?
Because Zach is a little bit high-strung. He destroys a lot of stuff. Matter of fact, a week before that, he pulled a knife on the same neighbor, told him to get out of the yard.
Just a second. I'm talking about August 1st.
That was
your daughter... I'm speaking. I'm talking about August 1st when your daughter threw a rock that hit him. Didn't you say something to her?
No, I didn't see it.
And you didn't see him throw a rock that hit your window?
I never seen it leave his hand.
Who saw that?
Me.
What exactly did you see, Ashley?
He just threw the rock.
What rock?
The rock that was in the flower bed.
The rock that you had thrown at him?
Yes.
Didn't you think you could hurt him if you threw a rock at him?
Yes.
So why did you do it?
I don't know.
I don't know either. What did you think he was supposed to do when you threw a rock at him?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Did you think a little 7-year-old who's much younger than you are might get angry and pick up the rock and throw it back at you?
Yes.
You did think about that, didn't you?
No.
You just told me yes. You mean you thought if you threw it at him, That he would just run away and go home?
No.
Well, what did you think he might do?
I don't know.
Why do you think she should be responsible for your car?
Because the whole situation was, my daughter was trying to get him out of the yard, was chasing him out of the yard. He picked up the rock and threw it at her first and hit her in the arm. So she picked up the rock to throw it back, and he jumped in front of the rock. This was just what I was told.
How can you jump in front of a rock?
Shh. I don't believe he hit her with the rock, because you didn't say that in your complaint. You say in your complaint he threw a rock at her and she picked up the same rock and tossed it into a flower bed where he was standing. She missed the flower bed and accidentally hit him with the rock. Nowhere in here do you say that he hit her with a rock.
But he threw the rock at her first.
That's not what I'm saying. So he didn't hit her with the rock because you would have said it if he hit her first. Right?
Yes.
I think you have to watch out at your own house before you throw rocks at somebody else. The person who started this problem was your 12-year-old daughter, who should have known better.
That's not true.
Who should have known a lot better. She picked up a rock because she's bigger, stronger, older, and threw a rock at him and hit him with the father standing outside, and I don't believe he didn't see what was going on.
I didn't see what was going on.
Then you take responsibility and fix your own car window. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
This is a joke. This is a joke. This is a joke. This whole thing's a joke. Once you go in the neighborhood, it's a joke. They don't take care of their kids. They don't take care of their property. You know, it's a total joke.
Keep an eye on their kids.
I'm not gonna let him hang around their house no more.
He's vandalized the neighborhood. He's pulling knives on people.
They lied.
He's just mean.
Her daughter shouldn't have thrown the rock at him in the first place.
He threw the rock first. I was just trying to throw it back in there, and he jumped in front of it.
I don't see how a kid could jump in front of a rock.
He's a problem child.
In our neighborhood, I mean, they call him every name in the book, and he doesn't like it.
This is a straight-A student. That's a future convict.
Without getting too emotional.
I can't do it without being emotional.
Mother against grandmother.
She called Child Protective Services because the child feared for her safety.
She was crying and she said, Grandma, you know what's going to happen to me when I get home, don't you?
You think you're a good mother?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Judge Judy.
3 children with 3 different men float.
For filing false charges with Child Protective Services. Pamela is countersuing, claiming Robin violated the court-ordered visitation of her granddaughter.
This is case number 261 on the calendar in the matter of Tozan versus Griffin. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Tozan, who is this?
This is my fiance.
And who is this?
My husband.
The defendant is your mother-in-law.
Ex-mother-in-law.
The mother of your former husband.
Right.
And you have children with your former husband. How many children do you have?
1.
Your mother-in-law had been very involved with your child. It's a girl?
Yes, ma'am.
And as a matter of fact, according to what I've read in her answer, your daughter lived with her for a period of time. Is that right?
That's correct.
How old is your daughter now?
She'll be 11.
And for how long did she live with Miss Griffin?
I'd say for a period of 6 to 8 months.
Is that right?
Almost a year.
And when was that?
May of '95 till April of '96.
Was that a court-ordered arrangement?
Yes, it was.
Because I assume your son and daughter-in-law had some problems that had to be resolved.
Yes, ma'am, right.
And you have had and enjoyed visitation with your granddaughter, regular weekend visitation. I don't know if it's every other week or once a month.
Once a month.
Once a month. Since she went back to her mother. So far, right?
Right. Yes, ma'am.
But then some problems arose. Your complaint is that your former mother-in-law called Child Protective Services, as well as the police, and made certain allegations against you, and you want to be compensated because you claimed those allegations were false. She knew that they were false, and she had no basis to make the calls to Child Protective Services. That's what your lawsuit is about.
Yes.
And Ms. Griffin said that she did have concern for her granddaughter, which is why she placed the calls, and she is counterclaiming for the emotional distress that she suffered as a result of the fact that you no longer let her see her granddaughter. I don't know if I'm going to even reach that because that should be the subject of a court proceeding. You were given court-ordered visitation, Mrs. Griffin, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go back to court to enforce your visitation?
Not yet.
Well, then I'm not going to entertain your counterclaim because the court may, in fact, decide that they're going to vacate the order. I hope not. Maybe we can deal with it today so that that won't be necessary. So without getting too emotional, I want you to tell me, Miss Griffin, since you acknowledge that you called Child Protective Services, what caused you to do that?
I can't do it without being emotional.
Okay.
The day on July 11th, Devin,
take a breath for a minute.
While she was at our house.
Let me ask you some questions, and maybe you can compose yourself, all right? Was July 11th the day that you say this happened? Was this during a weekend visitation that you had with her? How did she come to be at your house?
This is how it started. Devin never gets to do anything because her mother can't afford it. So we decided maybe she needed a break, and we offered to pay for a day camp because her cousin was going, and they're close.
So far, is that correct, Ms. Tarzan?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
So we asked Robin if it was okay with her, and we would pay for it. But she'd have to come stay at the house for the summer. Well, it's 6 weeks. It was 6 weeks of camp. And I was supposed to get her 4 weeks in the summer anyway. Okay, finally she said yes, she can go. So that's how she was at the house. Well, my son had called. Now, he told me all his legal stuff was taken care of, but...
Your son, her former husband.
Right. And, you know, why should I not believe it, you know? Although I shouldn't have, but I did. And anyway, he called and he said they had an Akita that died, and we had an Akita I wanted to get rid of. Too big, too strong for me. So he said, Mama, we'll take her. I said, okay. So Devin was at the house, and she hadn't seen her dad but 3 times in 7 years. And she loves her dad. Her mama can't change that. She asked us if she could go. Well, we called Robin. David asked Robin. He said, here's the deal. We're going for the day. We're not going to their place. We're not spending the night or nothing. We're just bringing the dog. Is it okay with you if Devin goes with us? She said, yeah, I guess it'll be okay. Well, the next night she calls. She says, she can't go unless I have a phone number and address. She said the only reason why she wanted it was because of emergencies. Well, she promised Devin, because Devin asked her, Mama, are you going to try and do anything about Daddy? She says, no, Devin, I'm not. And she promised her she wasn't going to use the information for anything, just in case there's an emergency and she needed to reach us. So you gave her the information? Gave her the information. The next morning she calls me, cussing 90 to nothing, cussing me out. Why don't you do some checking into background since you like to check into background so much? I said, what are you talking about? She says, Kirk still got a warrant against him. I said, oh, really? I said, well, I'll check into it. Well, isn't his girlfriend's ex-husband this? I said, no, it's not. That's not her name. Well, come to find out, the phone they had called from, she had Devin give her the name of the person that was on the caller ID. So I said, well, I'll check into it. And she said, well, I'm coming to pick her up at 4 o'clock today when she gets out of camp. I said, okay, fine, whatever.
Okay, so she wasn't going to let her go.
Right. So Devin, of course, broke down. We went into my room, and we were watching TV, and I was holding her because she was crying so hard.
She was so upset. She goes, my mama lied to me again.
I said, baby, you have to understand, your mom was worried. I said, you know, because your dad is still got a warrant against him. I said, he lied to us again. And I called him and told him she was not coming.
What's the warrant for, Miss Griffin?
Theft, oil fields theft. So I said, baby, I said, you're going to have to go. I said, Mama's coming to get you. I don't want to go. And she proceeded to tell us, you know, things like, Mama's been smoking, they've been smoking drugs at the house. And I said, baby, how do you know that? Have you seen it? She goes, Grandma, I know the difference between cigarette smoke. I've been around it all my life and other smoke. Okay. So I said, okay. I said, baby, you have to go home.
You have to go home.
You have to go home.
So I still haven't
heard.
So
she says she came twice and knocked on the door. Well, I didn't hear because we had the fan on, the TV on, and Devin was crying, and I'm holding her, and I didn't hear her knocking. Well, I finally got Devin calmed down, and I walked out, and I heard the door. I opened the door, and she said, where have you been? I said, right here.
Okay.
So I said, why don't you sit down, and let's talk about how Devin's feeling. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, she's upset because she feels like that you lied to her again. Too bad. She'll just have to get over it. She started cussing at me, yelling at me, calling me every name in the book. Devin got scared. Robin says, get your effing out here now.
Okay.
She opened the door, screamed at her mother, shocked me. True. She said, I'm not going with you. And I went, I mean, she just totally shocked me. And then she goes, Grandma, telephone. And then she ran back in the room and slammed the door. I'm lost. I don't know what's going on. She takes off out the door to go call the police. I'm going to get the police to get my daughter. She didn't have to do that. Devin called the police before she left out the door because of Robin cussing and screaming and hollering at me. So the police called. I said, this is Mrs. Griffin. He goes, well, we got a call from there. And I said, well, my ex-daughter-in-law just left to go call you. I said, but... So I said, Devin, did you call the police? She said, yes, I did, Grandma. I said, oh, God.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, stability is the most important thing in a child. Is this your first fiance since your divorce?
Yes. She's been married since my son.
Oh.
She's got 4 kids, 2 illegitimate, all 4 different
just
fathers.
a second.
And later today,
You're entitled to wake up one morning, Mr. Fisher, and say, I think I've made a mistake. I don't think Beth and I are right for each other. What you're not entitled to do is to be a sleazebag.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robin Tozen says her ex-mother-in-law, Pamela Griffin, falsely accused her of neglecting her daughter.
When and why did you call Child Protective Services, Ms. Griffin?
Okay, because when she left, her mama sent her back in to get everything that she had at my house because she was never coming back again.
Okay.
She came in and she was crying and she said, Grandma, I have to get everything that I have here because Mama said I'm not coming back again.
Okay.
And then she looked at me and she goes, you know what's going to happen to me when I get home, don't you? And then she grabbed me and started hugging me.
That's why you called Child
That's why I called Child. No, okay. First of all, I didn't call the police that night. I was so distraught, my husband called. Well, CPS in St. Martin Parish is not open 24-hour, and they weren't. This was a Friday night. So my husband said, I'm going to call because of what Devin said.
Fine. Got it. Now, Ms. Towson, I have just a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
I take everything that Ms. Griffin says with a grain of salt. Generally, that's what happened. Generally, her son, who is clearly a deadbeat father who has not enjoyed a consistent relationship with his child because he's in and out of trouble and he can't get his act straight. He's probably got a terrible lifestyle. Despite all of that, he's the one you chose to father this child, and if the child has an attachment to him, because every child likes to have a father, that's your fault. You picked him.
Right.
However, I want to know whether at some point you sent the child back into the house to get all of her things because you said to her, you're not going back to Grandma's.
No, that's not what I said.
What did you say?
She only came out with like a plastic bag and a small duffel bag. And upon her staying with her grandmother, I went and bought her several new outfits. That's what I sent her back in there for.
Now, she was still going to camp on July 11th, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she continue to go to camp after she came home?
No, she did not.
Why not?
That was her choice, because we started adding on to where we live.
Well, if she would have stayed with her grandmother, she would have continued to go to camp. That was your arrangement.
Right.
So you chose not to send her back to her grandmother.
She chose not to go back to her
I'm not sure that that's true. Who are you?
I'm Kerry Como, a witness.
A witness to what?
I just wanted to say that Devin was supposed to spend the weekends with us. She was only supposed to go for the week to camp, and on the weekends come home.
Let me explain something to you. You are a stranger to this. This has nothing to do with you. She is the only constant that this child has known since she's born. Not her father, and for a period of time, not even her mother. The only one who has been there all the time is her grandmother. We understand each other?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Good. That would be a fair statement, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Griffin, you're in a difficult position. You were a parent for a short period of time to this child, but you're no longer a parent, you're her grandmother. And you probably feel as if you can do a better job.
I didn't say that.
Listen to me. You probably think you could do a better job, and it's very possible you could do a better job.
Well, she'd have more stability.
Right. Well, stability is the most important thing in a child. Is this your first fiancé since your divorce?
Yes.
She's been married since my son.
Oh.
She's got 4 kids, 2 illegitimate, all 4 different
just
fathers.
a second. How old are your other children?
6, 2, and 16 months.
And how many people fathered those 3 children?
3.
3 different people?
Mm-hmm.
Then, absolutely right, Miss Griffin. Your granddaughter would have more stability if she lived with you. Unfortunately, children don't get the opportunity of picking their parents. Do you think you're a good mother?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Well, I'm going to tell you what a good mother does. A good mother does what she thinks is best for her children. Not best for you, but best for her children. And your 11-year-old daughter needs to spend time with her grandmother. It's very wrong of you and very selfish of you not to allow and encourage your granddaughter to continue to see her grandma. It's wrong. And you've made a lot of mistakes in your life. I mean, I can tell that from your history.
I agree.
And the one smart thing that you did was to have her son as the father of one of your children, because she's a stand-up person, right? It's the wrong thing. In any event, you have no basis to sue her for calling the police. You have no basis to sue her for calling Child Protective Services. Your mother-in-law has seen, based upon what you told me about yourself, numerous instances of what she might perceive as neglect. Certainly, 3 children with 3 different men floating in and out of the house is evidence enough of neglect for me, and I'm a grandma. She didn't call Child Protective Services then. She didn't try to get custody away from you then. The reason she called Child Protective Services was because the child made statements to her and she feared for her safety, and I believe probably legitimately. So your lawsuit is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She hates Devon's father so bad, so much, that she'll try and do everything she can to hurt him.
She thought I was an unfit mother. She would have called 8 years ago. She was mad, and she did it out of spite.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Toda versus Fisher. Step forward, please.
Tammy and Stephen Toda are suing their daughter's ex-fiancé, 21-year-old security guard Alan Fisher, for half the cost of a wedding that never happened.
Mr. Fisher, who is this person?
My wife.
Is there any reason that she's here?
Because I want her to be with me.
Wanted to be with you?
Yeah.
Mr. and Mrs. Toda, this is your daughter, I assume. Your daughter and the defendant were engaged to be married. And according to your complaint, you secured a place and invited 200 guests. And the defendant came to you just shortly before the wedding and said he didn't want to get married.
Right.
You're not looking for that money from Mr. Fisher. You're just looking for certain expenses, a couple of $100, really because you're angry.
Yes.
When was the wedding supposed to take place?
June 21st.
Is that correct so far, Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
When did you marry your wife?
September 4th.
When did you meet her?
I've known her for 4 years.
When did you start seeing her romantically?
We've been seeing each other on and off for like 3 years.
Did Miss Toda know about that?
Nope.
Well, that wasn't fair, was it?
Not really.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tammy and Stephen Toda claim their daughter's ex-fiancé, Alan Fisher, called off the wedding at the last second.
I would ordinarily say to Mr. and Mrs. Toda, good riddance to him.
Yes.
He is dishonest, dishonorable, sleazy, and your daughter is better off without him.
Yes, she is.
But I'm not prepared at this point to make it so easy for Mr. Fisher. He's entitled to change his mind about getting married. You are entitled to that, Mr. Fisher. You're entitled to wake up one morning, Mr. Fisher, and say, I think I've made a mistake. I don't think that, what's your first name? Beth?
Beth.
I don't think Beth and I are right for each other. We've been together a long time, but I don't think we're right for each other. And before I make a big mistake, for both of us, I have to call off the wedding. You're entitled to do that, right?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
What you're not entitled to do is to be a sleazebag and to have somebody else on the side for years while these people are in good faith planning a wedding and spending money that you're involved with. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
That's almost like fraud. Wouldn't you say so?
No.
What would you say?
Things wasn't working out, and she knew that. We fought a lot. I told her that I wasn't ready.
You had somebody else, sir.
Yes, I did.
You didn't tell her that.
She knew.
She did. You just told me 2 seconds ago that she didn't know.
She had to have known. How can you not?
Is what you're telling me that Beth knew that you had a relation? What's your first name?
Candy.
That Beth knew that you had a relationship with Candy.
She had to have.
What information that you imparted to her would lead her to suspect that you were intimate with someone else? Tell me.
I mean, we never spent time together, really. We didn't talk or nothing. She had to have known.
You mean?
Always come up with excuses of why I couldn't come see her and that.
So what you're telling me is, I'm going to enjoy this. I didn't think this was just cut and dry,
Yeah,
but
when
you
you
know.
live with
Shh, quiet. This is going to be better than your $200. I want you to trust me on this one. You mean you would make up excuses to her why you couldn't see her? Is that what you just said to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me an excuse.
She wanted me to come see her. I told her I had to work.
And when you said, I have to work, you had a job. When you
Right.
told her I have to work, you had a job at the time.
Right.
So what was it that you said that would lead her to suspect that you were lying?
Nothing, really. Just told her that I had to work.
Mr. and Mrs. Toda, you're not entitled to any money from him. You planned this wedding. He was not to participate in the cost of the wedding. So there's no basis for your lawsuit. But I want you to feel good about this, Beth, because you found out in time that the man that you were going to invest your life with had a bad character. Now, you can change a lot of things in this world. You can change your nose, you can change your hairstyle, you can change your hair color. The one thing that you can't change is if you have a bad character. He and Candy can deal with his character. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to look at you for a second. Do you see how easily he said he lied to Beth? Hmm?
Yes.
I'd watch my back if I were you. The case is dismissed, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
At least we found out, you know, the truth now. But he lived with us for a year and a half.
I stayed with them for about a month and a half.
We felt sorry for him. We took him in.
I moved on. I want them to move on.
Check everybody out. Check him out really good.
I called the police department, told them his stereo was incredibly loud.
And there was nothing really to complain about.
Right next door, her neighbor had a killer attitude.
He said, if you ever call the cops on me again, I will kill you. Do you hear me? I will kill you. I will you up so bad.
You threatened her.
I did not threaten her.
Yes, you did. Listen to me. This man is not going to hurt you.
Judge Judy.
She was frightened. Shame on you.
Thomas threatened to kill her.
Now, this is case number 293 on the calendar in the matter of Schmerzel versus Bockham. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Mr. Schmerzel, the defendants live in close proximity to where you do. I don't know whether they're immediate neighbors or not, but according to your complaint, you were having a big party. And the party was in the afternoon. On what date was this event?
I don't know the exact date, but I know it was a Saturday.
We have a lot of Saturdays every year, sir. Could I have a month or a year or something that would be more definitive?
Okay, let me just look in this paper. It says...
The questions are going to get harder, Mr. Schmerzel.
Okay. Looks like the 21st of August.
And you and friends, how many friends did you have at this party?
20, 25 maybe?
Was this gentleman one of those people?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he a relative of yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Is he your?
Brother.
Brother. At some point, this young lady came to your home and asked if you could turn down the music. Are your hands in your pocket, sir?
Yeah.
Because the music was loud. At some point, the police came and arrested you. You are suing both this young lady and her father for having you falsely arrested and also for embarrassing you because as a result of this false arrest, there was an article published in the local paper about you that was very embarrassing. Ms. Bauckham and her father said everything that they told the police when they called to complain about you was true, that you did in fact threaten her, and that Ms. Bauckham is suing for emotional distress. Her emotional distress is she's afraid of you. She's afraid because of what happened, you're going to come back and hurt her. That's, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Anyway, okay. August 21st, 2003. What kind of a party was it, Mr. Schmerzel?
Family outing at my house. We have 2.5 acres together. I mean, I do and they do too.
Okay. And what kind of music was playing?
Country music.
Was it loud?
Probably so, yeah.
And what happened when Miss Bauckham came to your house? Did she see you?
Yeah, she came up to me first.
And what did she say to you?
She said, Tom, could we turn the music down a little bit, you know, because I'm studying? And I just looked at her and I says, you gotta be kidding me, girl. It's 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. No, I've done this, known their family ever since, I've been out there since '78. I just said, no, I'm not gonna turn my music down. It's not that bad. And she was leaving, and then somebody said something to Mike's daughter.
What did they say to you?
They called me a...
Well, when she came up to the house, Was she yelling? What? I mean, you weren't yelling when she said, she said just, Tom, could you turn down the music, right?
Yeah.
And how far, just answer my questions. How far was she, do me a favor, Bird, would you put him outside until I'm ready to call him as a witness?
Oh. Oh.
Thank you, Bert. He was slouching.
Definitely.
It was an attitude slouch. You've seen that slouch before?
Oh, yes, many times.
We'll adjust it. So she came up to you very quiet. She was quiet. She said, Tom, I'm studying. Now, when you responded to her, did you respond to her in the same tone as she spoke to you?
Normal talking tone, like...
Is that right?
Yes.
So how come these other people were involved in the discussion?
They heard her. I mean, it's not like it's...
She wasn't screaming or anything.
No, none of us were screaming, but you could hear
Well,
it.
so then you would say, Mr. Schmerzel, that the people who called her a name were being rude.
No.
No? What would you think they were being? Stupid?
She was come over here complaining, and there was nothing really to complain about.
Sure there was. The music was loud enough for her to hear it, and she said she was studying. She didn't come over and scream at you. She didn't call the police. She came over quietly and asked you very politely if you could turn down the music. Now, you may feel as if you have the right to play music as loud as you like, right? And so that's an issue. But nobody has the right to call her a name. I mean, they have a right to call her a name, but they would either be stupid if they did, or they would be aggressive if they did, or they would be drunk if they did. Now, which was it?
I don't know if anybody called her a name. All I know is...
Trust me, they called her a name. I want you to start with that premise, Mr. Schmerzel. They called her a name. Okay. So were they stupid? Or were they drunk?
Probably stupid if they did it that way.
How much had you had to drink in the 2.5 hours that your party was going?
I think the whole night, because I got arrested, probably...
Not night, day.
Maybe on my second beer.
Okay.
Something like that.
Maybe your third?
No.
Maybe your first?
Could have been the first.
But certainly not your third.
Because I only had like 3 beers the whole day.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I opened the door, and he said, if you ever call the cops on me again, I will kill you.
Don't get upset. Listen to me. This man is not going to hurt you.
And later today...
The custody case didn't go his way. That's the only reason he destroyed the property and got rid of it. It's the only reason he hung on to the car, because he hates my guts.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Thomas Schmerzel says he was arrested because of false complaints made by his neighbors. Sharice Baucom claims Thomas threatened to kill her.
Okay, so these people called you a name, and you went home.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do?
I called the police department, the Poway Police Department.
And what did you say to them?
I told them that the neighbor was disturbing, his stereo was incredibly loud, and if they could do anything about it. And they said, yes, we can come over and ask him to turn it down.
And that's what they did?
And that's what they did. They came over. Okay.
Police came over?
But she's not totally right what she said before. She came back because she accused my son's girlfriend of calling her a...
Yes.
So they had a confrontation. I just stopped and I said, listen, you two shut up, and I think you better get off my property because you're offending my little party.
Is that what happened?
No.
What happened?
She called me. I was almost back onto my property. There was probably about 25, 30 feet between us. I turned around and said, excuse me? And she said, I didn't say... And I said, really? Because it sounded like you called me. And she said it again. She said, I didn't say... So I said, fine, and I walked back to my house.
That sounds right.
Okay. Well.
Now.
Yes.
She went back to the house. She called the police. Police come to your house and say what?
So what do you know, what's the problem? He says, well, I don't have no problem with it, but somebody's complaining about your loud music. I go, okay, because I know she came down, so I figured it was her, but I'm not going to push you. So I said, okay, so I went upstairs, turned it down a couple notches, and he said fine, and he went on his nice way. He was a nice police officer.
Okay, so then what did you do after he left?
I'm going to say 5:30, maybe 6. I went and took the pig out of the ground because I put a little pig in the ground for our
I don't hear you.
Huh?
About 5:36, you lost me. I didn't hear what you said.
I put a pig in the ground.
What do you mean you put a pig in the ground?
An animal, like, you know, a pig.
What'd you put a pig in the ground? Oh, a barbecue.
Yes.
Not a live pig. A dead pig.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. So we went to get the pig out of the ground, and then we were going to go over and eat. And while they were doing that, I said, I think I like, you know, to myself, not to nobody else. I just took off on. I said, hey, I'd like to go talk to, nothing disgraceful to Mike, but on the mountain there we call him Fat Mike, or, you know, it's not being mean to him enough. He knows that. I just said, I need to go talk to Fat Mike, see what's going on, because, you know, the cops come down here.
So this is after you had your third beer?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay.
So, and were these little teeny-weeny beers, medium-sized beers, or big beers?
I think they're 12-ounce cans.
Okay. So while they're cutting up the pig and everybody is having, you decide to go over and speak to Fat Mike.
So she came to the door, and I told her, like, if you're going to call the cops on me, it'd be nice for you to let me know. And then I did use a bad word. I said effing, and I said, oop, caught myself, says, you know what? I don't need to talk to you no more. I want to talk to your dad. But I knew there was a car with there, so I said, hey, I'll talk to him Sunday. And I walked away.
All right, Miss Balcom. Now, why don't you tell me your version of what Mr. Schmerzel said when he came to your house?
First of all, he's confused. The date was actually July 19th, and I have the police report to prove it.
So he's only a month and some off. Yes. Not.
Well, it says on my thing here, 7/28, and that was, oh, I'm not going to interrupt.
7 is July.
Okay.
8 is August.
Okay.
Why don't you tell me what happened when he came to the house about 6 o'clock, Miss Balcom?
He knocked on my door very loudly, and I opened the door, and he said, if you ever call the cops on me again, I will kill you. Do you hear me? I will kill you. I will you up so bad. I get your dad down here, get your boyfriend down here. I will them up too. I will kill you. And then he left.
And then he left.
During the whole conversation, my friend, I was on the phone with her, and I have records to show.
I just want to see the police report. Miss Balcom.
Sure.
Don't get upset. Listen to me. This man is not going to hurt you. This man is not going to hurt you. You know what happens to him? He gets stupid when he drinks.
I'm very aware of that.
He gets stupid. And his family gets stupid. His brother may get stupid when he doesn't drink, because I watched him. You don't have a case against the defendant. I'm going to look at the article that you have. The article reported that you were arrested for threatening her. Is that what you're talking about?
All I have evidence is the money I paid to bail out of jail.
I don't care what you paid to bail out. You lost your temper. You went over to her house and you threatened her. And you had too much to drink. And her version of what you said to her is absolutely accurate. You were annoyed. You had a little time and you went over there and you mouthed off at her, and you had no right to do that.
I did not threaten her.
Yes, you did. And she was frightened, and she called the police. You deserve it. Shame on you. Your case is dismissed. Now, let me get to your counterclaim. He's not going to do anything to you. I know that you may feel frightened, but you don't get compensated for that. That you feel as if you're uncomfortable being around him, you're uncomfortable that he might come to your house again. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I have a feeling when he behaves properly, and when he hasn't been drinking, that he's a pretty mild guy. And if he's not, and if he should come to bother you again, now he has a history.
Yes.
He has a record, which would be very, very unfortunate for him. You got it? Good. So, your claim is dismissed, as is your counterclaim. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This has been going on for years. That's why there's no neighbors here for witnesses, because every neighbor, I canvass the neighborhood, everybody out there is afraid of him.
I never threatened that girl. I think I'd do no good to hit a girl.
He's an alcoholic. He drinks all the time. He's going to come over and he's going to do it again.
Heck, he's built half the houses in that county. You know, I mean, we've been friends with Mike. They used to raise kids together. It's ridiculous.
He's always said that he's lived there longer than us, but with all his incarceration time, we've actually lived there longer. So maybe he'll have more incarceration time and we will live peaceful lives.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of String versus Pro-Cop. Step forward.
Of a custody dispute and a property dispute, and it goes on and on.
To me, I'm letting it go.
She doesn't care about her daughter, and she doesn't care about what she does to get her way.
You know, I'm moving on, but he's more holding it against me.
I think Lisa's angry because she couldn't make me fall in love with her, and that's what she wanted more than anything in the world.
Meet the parents. Father, mother, boyfriend.
And the children understand this whole relationship. Their daddy lives home but doesn't stay in the same room as their mommy. Their mommy stays in a room with Richard.
Right.
But when she caught her lover with another...
She went through the passenger window, grabbed my hair. I was stunned, I was shocked, I was scared.
It didn't happen.
You lost your temper.
Judge Judy.
Shh. It's a different world we live in.
Morris, parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
This is your current boyfriend?
No.
Who is this?
Ex-husband.
Ex-husband?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the boyfriend?
He's not here.
Why not?
He couldn't make it.
Any particular reason?
No.
Was he a witness to this event?
To the event, no.
Okay. Miss Anderson, from what I read in your complaint, the only thing that you and Miss Morris have in common, the exception of mutual dislike for each other, is a boyfriend. Used to be yours, then it was hers, but you continue to see him. I'm going to figure this out as we go along. In any event, your claim is that you were sitting with this boyfriend, or semi-boyfriend of yours, and the defendant came up in her car or truck or whatever kind of vehicle she was driving and proceeded to not only assault the vehicle that you were in, but you. Is that right?
Yes.
And Miss Morris says that is absolutely not true. Never did it. When did this alleged assault take place?
On June 5th.
Of this year?
Of 2003, yes. About 10:30 at night.
Where were you?
I was at my friend's house in the car in his driveway.
Which friend?
The
boy?
Yes.
Does the boy have a first name?
Yes, Richard.
Had you dated Richard?
Yes.
For how long?
8, 9 years. Sorry.
But even though you had dated him 8 or 9 years, Richard was not monogamous.
Right.
Is that right? Mm-hmm. Because he also had Miss Morris. Was he living with you at any point in the last 2 years, Miss Morris?
In the last 2 years, no. In 2000, he lived with me.
And did you continue to see him through 2003?
Yes, until June 5th.
In a boyfriend-girlfriend
Absolutely.
relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And your ex-husband was your ex-husband as of when?
As of 1997, I believe.
He doesn't live with you?
Yes, he does live with me. He lived with Richard and I together in the same household, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Tim and I share 2 children, and even though we can't fix our differences, he has an obligation to my children as well as I do, and we share that obligation.
So he lives with you since 1997, and you were living with Richard in 2000.
Richard lived with me, yes.
And your children.
Mm-hmm.
And the children understand this whole relationship.
Mm-hmm,
How old are your children?
Currently, they are 13 and 11.
And they understand that their daddy lives home but doesn't stay in the same room as their mommy. Their mommy stays in a room with Richard.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Shh. It's a different world we live in. It's not Ozzie and Harriet. You know who Ozzie and Harriet are?
Of course I know who Ozzie and Harriet.
Thank you. Okay. So you were in the car on the 5th of June, 2003, 10:30 at night, talking to your friend Richard.
Yes.
Who you knew, according to your complaint, was still involved with Miss Morris.
Yes.
But he was still a friend of yours.
Yes.
Now, when you say friend, did you have an intimate relationship with him, or was it just a friendly relationship?
Intimate relationship.
So it didn't bother you that he still had a relationship with Miss Morris?
No.
I would like to see this, Richard.
That would probably be why he's not before you today.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd just like to get a look at him.
I have pictures of him if you'd like.
Oh, I'd love to see a picture.
Actually,
do you have one with you?
Actually, they're outside. They're outside the courtroom. I don't have
You'll
them
get
with
it to Bird later.
Most
so
certainly.
just so that I could take a look at it so I can see it. I'm dying to take a look at it.
Sure.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me what happened when you were sitting and talking to Richard on the 5th of June at 10:30 at night.
Okay. First of all, Bobby Joe has been very jealous of me all along.
That's Bobby Joe?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
She's been jealous of you. Listen, I don't want to get into
anyway, I was in my vehicle. We had just pulled into the driveway, so I was
Who
still...
was driving?
Me.
And you were pulling into whose driveway?
Richard's.
Okay. Had you gone out for the evening?
Yes, we had just gotten back, and I was dropping
From where?
them off. From Jackson Indio Casino.
Okay.
Okay. Can I? Okay. All right.
You'll have a turn.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we were up there. We came home. I dropped him off, and we were sitting in the car talking. You know, he hadn't gotten out of the car just yet. And all of a sudden, I seen some lights coming from my rearview mirror, and it was the defendant's and in her truck. And so she pulled up alongside the passenger side, and she got out of her truck, and the windows were down in our car because it was warm outside. And she stood outside the passenger door, and she was yelling at him and throwing out comments, and she told me she was going to burn my house down and just upset. And no sooner was she saying these things did she lunge into the car, and she grabbed my hair.
How could she do that? She was on the passenger side.
And she had her seatbelt
She
on.
went through the passenger window, across the passenger, and
lunged towards you.
You got it.
Okay.
Okay. Grabbed my hair, started tugging and pulling on it, and tried to pull me out of
Now, Richard is in between the two of you.
Yes.
So she's pulling your hair past Richard's nose.
Yes. And
Got
he's
it.
trying to get her hands off of me. Okay. And she's trying to pull me out the passenger window. And I'm seatbelted
over
in.
Richard.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. And so he's trying to get her hands free from me, and he finally does, okay? And so she got really, threw a temper tantrum, you know, and she started kicking my car on the side, on the passenger door, and making dents in it. And at that point, I was stunned, I was shocked, I was scared. I started the car, and I proceeded to take off. So then I approached a stop sign, I had stopped, and I was just taking off, you know, and I was going about 15 miles an hour, and she hit me in the back of my bumper with her truck. And I went a couple more feet, I hung a U-turn, I stopped, and I said, you know, I'm going to call the cops. And she started burning her tires in her truck, and she sped away the opposite way. And then after that, I went and I dropped Richard off at his house, and then she proceeded to call me for several hours afterwards on my pager, you know, putting in her phone number to identify
Go ahead,
her,
keep going.
whatnot, and so on.
Okay. And is that
so
what
that's
happened
it.
that night?
Yes.
That's what happened. When did you contact the police?
The following day.
Let me see the police report, please.
Yes.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Why did you go over to the house 10:30 at night?
Because it was his birthday, and I chose to. He was my boyfriend.
Can I see the bill for the car, please?
What was that?
The bill for the car.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jill Anderson says her ex-boyfriend's girlfriend, Bobby Joe Morris, assaulted her and damaged her car. Bobby Joe denies the charge.
Okay. There was a restraining order issued. Is that right? There's an application
Yes.
for a restraining order.
There is.
I have the application dated the beginning of June.
11 days after the incident, I was served with temporary restraining order papers, which I responded to. We went to court for those orders. We were granted mutual stay-away orders.
Just a second. The incident was reported the next day. You may not have been served papers until some time after that, but the incident was reported the same day.
Okay.
And she was, in fact, granted a protective order.
We both were, ma'am.
She was. You may have been. You may have been, but you never filed a police report.
Why? It would be false. A police report of what?
Listen to me.
Okay.
Listen to me very carefully. She filed an application for a protective order. She was granted a protective order. That's what she says happens, and I assume you have a bill for any damage to your truck. Is that right? And how much does the bill indicate will be to fix it?
$2,029.62.
Can I see pictures of the truck, please, and the damage? Okay.
I believe it's this way. There you go.
Show these to the defendant, please, Bert. Thank you. Now, Miss Morris, you went to see Richard that evening, the evening of June 5th, and that was approximately 10:30 in the evening?
Close to, yes.
And why did you go to see him at 10:30 in the evening on the 5th of June?
Because, number one, it was his birthday. I was the manager of my daughter's softball team. We had a softball game that evening. We didn't arrive back home until close to 9 o'clock. Richard had been sick for approximately, well, since Tuesday. He hadn't been feeling well. He was ill. So in the evening, after I got home and got all the kids delivered everywhere and everything, I went over to see him. I had talked to him approximately 3 hours prior to. He did not go to a Jackson Rancheria or anything else.
When you spoke to him 3 hours earlier...
He called me about 7:30, I'm going to say.
Yes?
On my cell phone that evening while I was at the softball game.
Tell me about your version of the conversation.
My version of the conversation, he asked me how the game was going. I told him, you know, it should be over close to 8 o'clock. We would get back home, and then I'd come over to see him.
And what did he say?
Okay, he'd see me later.
Doubt that. I doubt that. Does Richard work?
No.
Does Richard work?
No.
You mean he just chose not to come today?
Yes.
Okay, so you got over there at 10:30 and you found Richard, with whom you had, according to you, a date, sitting in a car talking to Miss Anderson, who you knew and who you knew he had been involved with. Is that right? Yes, of course, that's right. And tell me what you did.
Okay, first of all, I went to Richard's parents' home, is where he lives, and I pulled up into the driveway. You have to walk into the back. He lives behind his parents' house. I walked back there, expecting that he would be there. He was not there. I stood at his door and I knocked, and I called on his telephone. Got no answer. I left him a message telling him obviously somebody had brought him Feel Better pills because he was obviously feeling better than he was at 7:30 because he wasn't home. So I left from their driveway. There's also rear access to this property, which is where I saw Miss Anderson and Richard sitting in the car. It was not at their residence. It was in an open space in a field behind the home. There's a big gate that you open up, and it goes directly to where he stays.
So you went back there to look for him?
So, yeah, I went to the back gate.
Just a second. So you went back there to look for him?
Right.
After you left him a note on the door?
No, I didn't leave him a note. I left him a voicemail message.
Oh, you left him a voicemail message that said you must have gotten a Feel Better pill?
Right.
And then you went looking for him?
Because his truck was there.
Just a second.
Sure.
Then you went looking for him?
Sure.
Okay, and you found him sitting with the plaintiff?
Sure, yes, I did.
Go ahead. Let's hear the rest.
Okay. I approached from the rear. They were sitting up close to the fence. I came up in the field behind their car, pulled up along the passenger side because I assumed that it being Jill's car, that Richard would be in the passenger seat if he were there. Rolled my window down. Richard rolled his window down. I asked him, what's really going on here? And he said they were waiting for a friend of his to bring them something or whatever. And at that time, I stated to him that he needed to send her on her way. He did that. They discussed whatever in the car. He got out of the car, and she left. Now, he and I had words at that point, and I wasn't happy with him. This has been an ongoing harassment situation that I've had to deal with from Miss Anderson for the past almost 7 years. So at that point, I told Richard, I'm done, because I had previously, about 8 months ago, had discussion with both of them and told him I was done doing this. I was done.
Why did you go over to the house 10:30 at night?
Because it was his birthday, and I chose to. He was my boyfriend. That's why. I went there to give him his birthday gifts. That's what I went there for.
Can I see the bill for the car, please?
What was that?
The bill for the car!
Yes.
Miss Morris, I doubt the veracity of your version of events, that you went there to give him his birthday presents.
It's the honest to God truth. You don't have to believe me.
Yes, I know. And that he had, in fact, made an appointment to see you that evening, and that you got there and found him with her, and that you said to him, you best come outside so that we can have a talk. This after you told me that you have been harassed by her for the last 7 years, that you had conversations with her before to stay out of your life, and all of that.
Because she came to my...
I'm speaking.
Okay.
And all of that good stuff. I doubt the veracity of how you say that evening went down. And I find that you did, in fact, cause the damage to her car, that you did, in fact, pull her hair, which didn't cause her any serious injury, it didn't cause her any injury at all. I do hope that neither one of you have anything to do with Richard anymore. He sounds like quite a loser. In any event, you are responsible for fixing her car The total cost for her car looks like to me $2,029. What year car is this?
It's an 86.
An 86 what?
Honda Accord.
How long have you had it?
3 years.
How much did you pay for it?
$4,000.
Okay. I think you're going to have the car fixed for $1,000. This car that is now almost 20 years old. You should be able to have it fixed for $1,000.
Okay, can I?
Just a second.
Okay.
Now we're going to get to your harassment. She was granted a protective order by virtue of the fact that she filed an application for a protective order which brought this matter to head in court. Subsequent to her filing an application for a protective order, you chose to go to mediation when you said, well, she's been bothering me too. She's been calling, et cetera,
No, that was not the nature of our mediation.
Go ahead. What's
the nature of our mediation was, number one, I would like to let you know I don't have any kind of a criminal or civil background of any kind.
It's okay. She doesn't have to have a prior criminal background. Neither do you. In order to be granted a
But
protective
to
order,
me-
you lost your temper.
You lost my temper. It
Yes, you
didn't
did.
happen.
You did
It
lose your
didn't
temper.
happen.
Yeah. Well, it's fine. Listen, common sense has to rule. Common sense to me suggests that when somebody with as poor judgment as you have to subject your children to living with their father and your boyfriend in the same house, has a relationship with a guy, and at the same time as he's having a relationship with you, living in your home, sharing your bed, having a long-term relationship with somebody else, and you permit that circumstance to continue, that when you finally have had it up to here, and at 10:30 at night, after a long day with your children, get in your car to go over to give him his birthday presents and find him in a field, alone, in a car, with a woman who has been harassing you for the last 7 years, that you do absolutely nothing to her or her car. That defies credulity. I do not believe it. For 30 seconds or less, you can tell me why I should consider your harassment counterclaim inasmuch as she was granted an order of protection. Go.
Okay, first of all, as far as the damages go, I'd like to say something regarding that.
Listen to me.
Okay.
I've made a judgment with regard to that.
Okay.
Pay careful attention.
Okay.
I'm now on your counterclaim.
Okay. And I'd like to also, can I show you these pictures? I've had surgery on my leg. There's no possibility, no way for me to kick, not even that high on her vehicle. So I'm...
Did you hear what I said? Harassment. Tell me about it. You've used up 10 of your 30 seconds.
Okay, the harassment has been since 1997. Miss Anderson came intoxicated to my home, called me and told me she was on her way there.
When? Give me a year.
1997.
Not interested. Get to 2003.
2003, she continually calls my home. I've had for 5 years on my phone a block from her calling. I've paid for about almost 6 years on my telephone bill for her to not harass my home.
Okay.
Okay.
When was the last time you filed a complaint against her?
I've never filed a complaint.
How come?
Probably for the same reason she's never filed one against me.
If someone harassed me for 6 years, causing me to put a block on my phone, and continued to harass me, I would have at least made one report to the police. Wouldn't you have?
Probably so.
Probably so. Probably so. Well, next time I would document it. If she continues to bother you, keep a record of how many times she calls. Next time she calls your house and harasses you, I would suggest that you call and report it to the police, and I'll be more than delighted to hear your counterclaim. For now, it's dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. That's all. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I'm happy with the verdict.
I'm glad it's over with.
Finally, she has to pay for what she's done. You know, you can't go around damaging people's property and not be responsible for it.
The real root of the problem is she's jealous that Richard threw her out of his home and he moved in with me, and we've had a relationship for the past 7 years that she's been very jealous of.
No, that's not true.
She can fully have Richard. He belongs to her.
The truth is that it was his birthday and we were out at Jackson Indian Casino gambling.
I'm done. Washed my hands of the whole thing.
I'm fed up with her.
He said that he had to replace the transmission.
A mechanic who blew his gasket.
And he grabs me by the shoulders.
You are such a
And he
liar.
pushes me back. So I'm screaming, let me out, let me out.
You can't do that.
Never
You
physically touched her.
You're not paying attention to me.
You're not paying attention.
And the woman who kept her bearings.
I try to grab his private parts so he'll let go of me.
That's a good spot.
This is ridiculous.
It was difficult trying to find them, though. That was the problem.
Judge Judy, year-old auto shop manager Scotty Whitaker, for physically assaulting her during an argument.
All rise. This is case number 224 on the calendar in the matter of Malone versus Whitaker. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Malone, it is your claim that the defendant who you had hired to fix your car, you had been, I guess, on a trip to Las Vegas, and your car or truck broke down. You took it to the defendant. He fixed it. Still didn't run right. You took it back to him. And then when you went to pick it up, there was some sort of an altercation. It is your claim that he, A, assaulted you when you were trying to get out of his shop, and B, that he didn't fix your car and you want your money back because you were forced to put it on your credit card in order to get your car back. The defendant says that he did, in fact, do what he was supposed to do on the car, and he never put his hands on you. You must have tripped or fallen or fell into a wall as you were leaving your shop. So, tell me when your car broke down in Las Vegas.
On the weekend of the 17th, 17th being a Monday.
17th of what?
Of June, 02.
Who were you with?
I was with my husband, my son, and my mother.
And what kind of car did you have?
I had a 1991 Ford F-350 one-ton pickup.
What happened to the truck that caused you to take it to the defendant?
While driving the vehicle, it started to stall. It would not shift correctly, and then we noted that there was some liquid that was emanating from the vehicle. Subsequently, my husband said that it had to be transmission problems.
Okay, so you took it into the defendant?
Correct.
And you found him through a Yellow Page ad, or you found him through the phone book, or you found him through...
I found him through the Yellow Pages because recognizing that it was had a transmission problem.
Okay, Yellow Pages. And what did he tell you?
He just said that he would correct the problem, which he did, supposedly.
Okay. How much did he charge you for that?
$847.10.
You went to pick up the car when?
The same day. Supposedly, he put in a torque converter. His diagnosis was that's what was necessary.
You have the bill for that?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
I also have the receipt, what I paid.
Okay. In one day, he fixed it with a torque converter for $847.
That's correct.
What does this torque converter look like, sir? Tell me.
Big round housing that sits between the engine and the transmission, holds fluid, and gets the fluid. That's what creates torque.
Okay, so it's a big round thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you have to tell me. That's
Okay.
all I need to know about it. Did you give her the old one?
No, they have a core on them.
Just asking you. Did you give her the old one?
No.
Did you see the old one?
No.
What's the matter, Bert? You okay? You okay with my question so far?
Oh, keep going. You're doing well.
Am I doing all right?
You're doing great.
Good. I thought you might think so. And then you took the truck out.
Correct.
What happened when you took the truck out?
We turned it to California and started noting on the way back the same problems with the shifting. I called Scott Whitaker and told him the car is doing the same identical thing that it was doing when I first brought it into you. So he said I had to return to Las Vegas, Nevada with the vehicle for him to repair it. So we made arrangements and I brought the car back on July the 12th.
So how did you get home?
I had to have someone else drive me. And so we drove 2 cars, the 450 miles, and then drove back to California.
Go ahead.
So then after he called me and then finally told me the car was ready, I went back.
Did he tell you what was wrong with it?
He said that he had to replace the transmission, that the torque converter was the method of stair-stepping, that it didn't actually cure the problem.
So you went back to pick it up?
Correct. I paid him. At that point, he indicated the amount was $1258.67, and that was at 10:21 a.m. So I owed him nothing.
10:21. And then what happened? You took the truck out?
I took the truck out. Same shifting problems. Called my husband. He said, you need to take the truck back. I come back. I said, I need an invoice to show and document the stuff that you're doing to the car. He says, I'm busy right now. I can't give you anything. I said, okay, but when I come back, I need an invoice. I want this documented. He then tells me in the interim that he's having someone look at the car and diagnose it. So then he comes back to me and tells me it has nothing to do with the transmission. The transmission is fine. This is a speed sensor. It's unrelated. I'm going to do you a favor, and I'm going to go ahead and fix it. If it's unrelated, I'm not going to charge you. I said, fine. How long is that going to take? About a half hour. Go have lunch, and we'll give you a call. I had my 80-year-old mother with me, my son and so forth. So we went to eat. I don't hear from him. So about 10 to 5, I call him up and said, what's the status of my car? So he's, oh, they're test driving the car right now. Come pick up the car. It's ready. Terrific. I go down there. I ask him for the invoice. He tells me that the computers are down. If I want a bill, if I want him to give me some kind of invoice, then he's going to charge me. I said, charge me for what? So I'm being stubborn. I'm saying, listen, if you fix the car, just give me an invoice. And he gives me the keys to the truck and says, you get out of here, your car's, I'm done with you, and so forth. So then I go to the truck, and I know that my car had been driven 63 miles.
Where was the car driven to that day?
Around the whole city on the loop. We have a beltway there. She tells me I'm going back to California, make sure my vehicle does not have to come back. And then she's going to tell me, you drove my vehicle 63 miles? Yeah, you're driving 450. You want it to work?
Who drove the car?
One of our technicians. We road test every single vehicle. It's not abnormal.
60 miles worth?
Some of them 100, yes.
Really? Does that sound right to you, Bert?
I've never had it happen to me.
I've never had it happen to me either. How old are you?
I'm 25.
How old are you, Bert?
45.
I'm older. Between us, we have almost 100 years. It's never happened to us that we took a car and to be repaired.
How many times have you been in the shop?
Our cars? I have had more cars than you have years, sir. And I have never had all different kinds, all different flavors. And I have never had somebody road test a car that they repaired for 63 miles. Never happened.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
While he's restraining me, grabbing me both arms, I try to grab his private parts so he'll let go of me. So then he grabs my hand.
That's a good spot.
Thank you. Thank you. It was difficult trying to find them, though. That was the problem. And I had
You're cute.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Lisa Malone says she was ripped off and assaulted by auto shop manager Scotty Whitaker. Scotty says Lisa is being dramatic.
Okay, so now you're outside. He's not going to give you. He said, take your car and leave. And there's a certain frustration.
Yes.
I get your frustration. I'm surprised it took you this long. I would have had the shop closed before then.
So at this point, he gives me, because I'm being insistent, I'm saying, give me something to show, because you're telling me that the car runs
Gotcha. You want something. Okay, so he gives you this. This is your handwriting, and you said it was a speed sensor. Is that right that you fixed? Is that right? And that was the cause of the problem.
That was the cause of her problem after she brought it back.
No. Can I see his ad, by the way? I just want to make sure I get a real good shot of the name of this company. Your company is Best Auto Specialists? Transmission problems? One-day service. That's what it says.
That's because that's in the transmission section of the phone book. We do have a general repair shop on the same lot.
That's not in here, right? Okay, so the first time you didn't do anything with the transmission. The first time you did something with a torque for $850. And after you did something with the torque, she still had a problem with the car. Not a problem, the same symptoms that she had that caused her to bring it into you.
Because that's what she said?
Yes.
So she's automatically right?
Because that's what she said, because that's what I believe.
Okay, if you look at what her thing says here, losing fluid. The first reason that with the torque converter, the reason why the torque converter got replaced was from losing fluid. It had nothing to do with the vehicle jerking.
And that had nothing to do with the bad transmission?
No, it didn't.
You mean this all serendipitously happened at the same time, including the speed sensor?
You have to understand how...
Including the speed sensor. Is that what you're telling me, sir? Including the speed
no, there's
sensor.
3 different problems.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
She had the car there one day. You charged her $800. You knew she was really in a pinch because she doesn't come from Las Vegas. She comes from California. She went home to California, and what nut is going to come back 900 miles to bring back the car? She sues you. She comes back. It would be easier for her to sue you than for her to schlep the car back and forth from California to Vegas. So why didn't you just say to her, look, take the car to your own people there. I'll send you a check back for half, and we'll call it even. Did you suggest that to her?
How about she never gave me the opportunity to do that? And I have that documented, too.
Show me.
She took her vehicle to Midway Ford, okay? Then sent me a demand letter for that bill.
She took it afterwards to Midway Ford, and they replaced the torque converter. The same torque converter that you say you replaced.
Yeah.
You think her torque converter went bad in such a short period of
It
time?
very well could have. That's why we give warranties. And that's when she...
It could have failed, or it could have not have been replaced, either one of those two things. In any event, okay, now let's get to the assault.
My son comes in. He had been waiting on the second car. We had driven to go up there. He's wanting to know what's going on. And so then I talk to him in Spanish, and I tell him that, you know, he is now wanting to invalidate. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, what had happened was, when I knew I wasn't going to have any recourse, I said, you know, if I have any more problems that are related with this car, I'm going to contact my credit card, and I'm going to dispute. So then he says, okay, then I'm going to cancel your earlier invoice, and you're going to have to pay me cash. I said, I don't have cash, and you're getting ready to close. He said, too bad. He said, you'll have to come another day. And I said, I can't come back another day. I need to return to California and stuff. He said, oh, you want to get smart with me? And then we got into the name calling. And so he said, you know, we'll see who's smart on this, and so forth.
And you told your son to take off with the car?
Exactly.
Okay.
He heard or saw him, and then I proceeded to go out also. So then he goes and he grabs me by the shoulders.
You are such a
And he
liar.
pushes me back. I'm screaming because I'm thinking, what's this guy, flipped? I mean, what's going on with it? So I'm screaming, let me out, let me out. And so while he's restraining me, grabbing me both arms, I try to grab his private part so he'll let go of me. So then he grabs my hands.
That's a good spot.
Thank you, thank you. It was difficult trying to find them, though. That was the problem. And I have
You're cute.
And I have carpal tunnel. So he ends up spraining my left arm. I have bruises. I have medical reports.
Let me see.
Here's my first visit.
Let me know when I can tell all my side of the whole story.
I will.
Because this is
You're gonna
ridiculous.
The police report indicates that there was evidence of physical injury when they saw...
Who wrote that?
The police officer.
What police officer?
S. And this was by the police officer on the 31st
At
of
the
July.
police station, though, not at our shop.
Doesn't make any... I don't know where it was, sir. He responded...
Well, what I'm getting at is anything could have happened on her way to get to the police station. This is a police report from officers at my shop who go ahead and read, proved me to be the victim. She tried showing them scratches that had scabs on it, that I did that to her. It scabbed over in 5 minutes. Give me a break.
You know these police officers?
I do not.
Well, I don't understand what their problem was, sir. You committed a felony.
I did?
Yes.
What's that?
I'm going to tell you, because I'm going to tell you what the police officer said in here. Maybe they're just stupid. They said, Whitaker stated he told, and then it's blocked out, who had witnessed the entire incident to block Metz's car with the tow truck so that she could be detained until the bill was paid. That's what they said you told the officer. Whitaker stated that he stepped between Metz and the front door and attempted to detain Metz from leaving until her car was blocked in. You can't do that. That's a felony.
Okay.
That's a felony, sir.
Well, they saw it differently than you, and they were
Well,
there.
let me tell you something. They don't have as many years as I do in the business. That's a felony. You have no right to detain someone, to block someone's passage if they want to leave.
I never physically touched her, which means I did not detain her.
Oh, I don't believe that, sir. That's a question of whether or not I believe you. Because I read your statement very carefully.
And?
And listen, you may be used to dealing with people in your fashion. You're not used to dealing with people like me. You say in your answer, sir, I ran out and told my driver to stay parked. My tow truck was backing up to leave for the day and happened to block her truck in. Here you told the police officers, I told blank, who had witnessed the entire incident, to block Metz's car in with the tow truck so that she could not leave.
That is in that officer's words.
No,
That is in my words.
This is what he's quoting you as saying, sir.
Okay, well, I'm sorry he quoted that, but that's in his words.
So that's a mistake.
I don't know what to tell you about what he wrote, but I can tell you.
Okay. Look, when you have a business, there's a certain thing called goodwill. She brought her car in because it didn't run, and you didn't fix it. And you felt as if you had her by the throat because she had a car, she had no way of getting back the first time. You fixed it, you charged her almost $1,000 for the day. Whether you fixed it or not, whether you put in a new torque or whatever else you said you put in, a month later she had to have another one put in. In any event, I think that you never felt as if this lady was going to come back.
I never dealt with her. I dealt with her husband.
Doesn't make any difference. You dealt with the car. You didn't fix her transmission. You fixed the cars. you fix the cars. But a good businessman, somebody was not shady, would have said, look, you're in California, I'm here. Didn't work out. Show me the thing from Ford where you had another torque put in. If it didn't work, it didn't work. I'll send you back your money.
They didn't give me that option.
When they called you and said, I'm still having trouble, you couldn't get the words out fast enough. Look, you're in California,
After
I'm in Vegas.
Fixed it. They already took it somewhere, fixed it, and then sent me a demand letter.
For the money back.
That is not, you can't do that. They signed
Listen to
away.
me. You're not paying attention to me, Mr. Whitaker.
You're not paying attention.
No.
They signed something.
Listen to me. No, you're not paying attention. I'm talking to you about being in business and having goodwill, which, by the way, you have totally destroyed. She may say to you, when she wanted to leave, I'm going to cancel the credit card. I've read your paperwork, sir. Your paperwork says she may dispute the charges, but she's not going to cancel the credit card. That's what your paperwork says. Listen to me. That's what it says. It says that she may not do that. So why would you block her car? If it says that she cannot do that, all you have to do when Visa, MasterCard, or whatever credit card company she's dealing with calls you and says, I have a customer disputing your charge, you say to them, look, I'm sending you a contract that we have. The contract says that the customer may dispute the charges, but may not cancel the credit card. She can sue you, but you can't do that.
Can I ask her a question real quick? Because that was written 20 minutes after that all happened.
Pay careful attention to me, sir. It's in your contract that she cannot
My contracts
cancel.
don't mean anything to you.
That she cannot. It's in your contract. The fact
They
that
don't mean
she
anything to
said,
you.
hey, thickhead, the fact that she said to you, I'm going to cancel the credit card doesn't mean she can do it. So you let her go out with her car. You don't start a problem. You don't say you have to stay here. I'm going to block your car. You say, you go, cancel the credit card if you like. And then when the credit card company calls you because you have a disputed charge, you said, I'm sending you a copy of the contract that I have with her. Do you understand that, Mr. Whitaker?
You're not understanding what I'm saying. That was not signed like that at the time that happened. That was signed after the police had come.
Oh, so the police forced her to sign that.
No,
Is that
they
what you're
didn't.
saying to me?
They asked her if she wanted her truck that was on private property.
Just a second. So the police officer said, if you want your truck back,
yes.
And you're telling me these are cops you don't know?
They're not cops
God,
I don't
do
know.
I not believe you? Do
How do
I
I
not
know?
believe you? Listen to me. Listen to me. You don't get any prizes for being smart when you already are on notice that he probably didn't fix anything in the first place because Ford says they put in the exact same part. So you don't get any prizes for smarts.
You're right.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,500, which includes the price that you spent to fix the car and whatever injuries you suffered.
Thank you,
That's
Your
all.
Honor.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I never should have taken it to this guy 3 times. He was a shoddy business person.
She called the police before I even blocked her car in.
I kept having to go back like a ping pong ball, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And as you can tell, his attitude, even with the judge, very nasty attitude, very unprofessional.
It's a headache. I'm glad it's over.
Did her dance partner make the wrong move?
He put his hand against my breast. He lifted me up in the air and had his hand between my legs.
A case so shocking, her daughter has to leave the room.
The fact that he put his hand on your breast, grabbed you and tried to kiss you, did not discourage you from traveling with him.
I was putting up with it because he kept professing his great love for me.
Judge Judy.
I am a
touched her inappropriately.
So what's wrong with this letter? This is not a letter that inspires you to make a report to the police. He's saying either I want my money back or apply the money that I gave you for group lessons towards private lessons. I'm disappointed with the way the weekend went. As far as he's concerned, you acted in an unprofessional manner, and nothing contained in this letter that I've read, absolutely nothing, suggests to me that it was an inspiration for you to contact the police. So tell me what else happened, madam, after the 15th of June, when you went willingly and not in a state of bondage to Chicago with him, that inspired you to call the police and report sexual abuse on the plaintiff's part. Tell me.
Actually, I was not...
Show me a letter. Tell me the rest. Did he come to your house to stalk you after the 15th?
No, he did that on May 20th.
Okay. Tell me what he did on May 20th.
On May 20th, he just showed up at my house at 2 p.m. and...
2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Where most of my children were at home. I have 8 children. There were 6 of the children at home. He came to the door. My kids said, Mom, Robert Spinner wants to talk to you. And so I came to the door. I said, what do you want? He says, I want to talk in private. I said, no, you're not talking to me in private. You're going to talk to me in front of my children. And he says, oh, you cannot treat me like this, Angela. You know, what are you doing to me? You're being so mean. You're being so cruel. And then he says, I can't continue to talk to you in front of your children. And he left.
Keep going.
Okay, well, first off, a dance student does not come to their dance teacher.
Keep going!
Okay, so that's what happened there. And if you want to go back to, you know, I have all these love letters.
I don't want to go back at all. I want to go to a place after June 15th.
Okay, after I received that letter. Okay.
After you received this letter, which you received on June 16th.
Okay.
Let me ask you, did you respond to the letter?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I took it to an advisor.
Took it to a spiritual advisor?
No, a friend.
Ms. Sturm, if somebody writes you this kind of letter, which is not a hostile letter, it's a letter of disappointment, it's a letter of frustration, and you chose in a very unprofessional way not to respond to it at all, and you've already told him, according to you, get in your car and get out of my life. Don't come near me. I'm not giving you lessons anymore. I'm not doing anything. And he says, you owe me money. You owe me money. You choose to ignore him. He comes to your house, and he doesn't want to speak to you in front of your 8 children. He said, I want to speak to you privately. And you say, no, you talk in front of my 8 children. And you know what he does? He does what a mature person would do. He leaves. So I want you to tell me what happened after the 20th of June, which is when you say he came to your house at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, after the 20th, that inspired you to make a formal complaint of sex abuse to the police against the plaintiff after the 20th.
Okay. I was advised not to respond to the letter because the person who said was very angry.
Ms. Sturm, did you hear my words?
Okay.
My words were after June 20th, because so far I've heard nothing that in my judgment gave you cause to call the police and to notify 2 different police officers that he had sexually abused you. So I want you to tell me, what was it after June 20th when he came to your home to talk to you about the problem, the lessons, the money, whatever, and did not behave in any aberrant way? What happened after June 20th that inspired you to go to the police? You have a window of 4 days, madam. Did anything happen?
Right, he kept contacting me after I told him to leave me alone.
Tell me when he contacted you after June 20th.
He sent the letters, and he also called my house on June 23rd, my son Matthew Price.
Just a second. He called your house on June 23rd?
Yes.
Did he speak to you?
No.
Who did he speak to?
My son Matthew Pryke.
Did you call the house on June 23rd, sir? Just answer me yes or no.
Yes, I did.
And did you speak to her son?
Yes, I did.
And what did you say to him?
Actually, when I called her, when I called her house, I was looking at my phone bill, and when you dialed *69, it shows the return that whoever who called you. She called me at 2:30 in the morning, and I must have spaced out.
Do you have that?
No, I don't have that phone bill.
So is that why you called her?
So I was wondering who called me at this time, and it just didn't dawn on me it was her. So I called the number to find out who called me, and that's all that was. When I finally found out, when I recognized the voice, that was her son, and I said, okay, I'm sorry, and I hung right up. I had no idea. If I knew it was her phone number, I would have never have called.
What else? June 23rd.
He called my house on June 23rd. I called his business on 6/24 at about 2 in the morning, because in the letter that you saw, Judge, he said that if I wanted to contact him about the lessons, to call him at his office.
So you called him at his office at 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yes, because I didn't want to talk to him. I wanted to leave it on his voicemail.
I have that recorded.
Just a second. Now, I want you to tell me what happened as a result of her filing this complaint against you with the police department. Were you contacted by the police?
Yes, I was contacted by a corporal, and I voluntarily went down to the police station. He said that there was a complaint filed against me.
Were you arrested, sir?
I wasn't arrested, but when I went into the interrogation room, he locked the door behind me and he read me my rights. And he didn't say, well, we're not arresting you,
okay,
but...
You voluntarily came in.
I voluntarily came in, but he locked the door behind me.
I understand. I understand, Mr. Spinner. Was this the first time you had ever been in a police interrogation room?
Right, it is.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I am I work at a homeless shelter, and I counsel the homeless on overcoming barriers to employment.
Okay. When, for the first time, other than this letter, did you ever ask her for your money back or for
Yes,
lessons before?
I've contacted the Better Business Bureau. There was several correspondence with them.
Can I see the letters to the Better Business Bureau?
And I
please?
also have a letter that I sent to her directly, certified mail. And these are the letters to the Better Business Bureau and their responses back. I tried to keep this out of court. I tried to be as civil as I can, but I tried to use the Better Business Bureau to help with this.
On June 25th, you sent this certified?
That letter prompted her to call the police and said that, and that's when the harassment, that letter prompted the harassment charges when I was asking for my money.
Now, the only thing that I haven't addressed yet that I just want some information are these 2 medals. Did you win medals with him, dancing with him as a dance partner? The answer is either yes or no.
Yes.
How many medals did you win?
3.
Where are they now?
1 is in the studio and 2 I have here.
Okay, can I see the 2 that you have here? Okay, these are the same. They're exactly the same. Is that right? What is the 3rd one that you have in the studio? Is that the same as this?
No, it's from Notre Dame.
So it's from a different competition?
Yes.
Okay, and was that on the same weekend in Chicago?
No, it was May 5th in Notre Dame, Indiana.
Okay. Suing her for $1,909.23. And according to your complaint, that represents money for filing these false charges against you, the dance lessons, and a little bit of aggravation, and the return of the 2 medals. Okay. Now, give 1 to him, give 1 back to her. Mr. Spenner, I want you to listen to me very carefully. I'm not getting into how many dance lessons are left, whether you gave her 12-year-old daughter a receipt. I'm not getting into any of that. As far as I'm concerned, the defendant abused the legal system and abused the police department and abused you by filing a false report that you had, in fact, sexually abused her. And I need not get into all of the details of how many lessons are owed. You are suing her for $1,900. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm giving you a judgment for $1,900 against her. I find her actions absolutely unacceptable. She used the police department because you were asking for your money back. Clearly, nothing that she alleges that you did to her in March, in April, in May, or even in June inspired her to make this complaint. She freely and voluntarily went to Chicago with you. She freely and voluntarily danced in competitions with you after all of these alleged touchy-feely incidents. And it wasn't until after she terminated you coming into her studio after June 24th that she filed these complaints. I am appalled at that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,900. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't grab her between the legs.
I warned him about it.
I grabbed her right here.
I kept warning him about it.
And it was a playful thing.
And how many times he kept pursuing me.
She was flirting with me. I was flirting with her.
It was harassment the whole time.
And that's a lie.
Obviously, he's very angry because I rejected him.
She always gave me mixed signals.
This man was very obsessed with me.
She wanted me to flirt with her.
Unbelievable.
And I'm very glad that Judge Judy saw through her bull.
I say that's pretty pathetic because he couldn't dance himself way out of a paper bag.
I'm going to do whatever I can to let the whole ballroom industry know how unprofessional this person is.
If you do anything more about my studio, Mr. Spenner, you're going to regret it.
You wanted to sort of redo your body.
She said, you can lose 10 to 30 inches or my money back. She wrapped me up like a mummy.
Was she wrapped up in a weight loss scam?
I asked her if I lost the 10 inches. She said, well, no, you didn't. And I said, well, then I'm not paying. She said, you need to pay or I'm going to call the police.
I have the right to waive the guarantee.
No, you can't waive a guarantee.
Judge Judy.
Your picture is deceptive. What would you do?
I take it to Judge.
Business owner Claudia Rathbun for a refund on a body wrap and for defamation of character. Claudia is countersuing for bank fees and loss of income.
Yeah, this is case number 250 on the calendar in the matter of DePietro versus Rathbun. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have a seat.
Mr. DiPietro, According to what I read, you were going on vacation and you wanted to sort of redo your body. You saw an advertisement. The advertisement was from the defendant's company. It indicated that if you used her body wraps, that you would take instantly inches off your frame. You went to her, got the body wrap. You were dissatisfied with the service which was, according to you, guaranteed by the defendant. You felt sort of intimidated when the session was over, and you did pay her. I think the session was $80, $85, is that right? But you got home and you stopped payment on the check. The defendant was furious that you stopped payment on the check, and according to her, after some efforts to try to get you to pay, she filed a complaint with the police.
Correct.
I don't know what the nature of the complaint was, but you were contacted by the police and told that a warrant was issued for your arrest and you should come in and turn yourself in. Did you go and turn yourself in?
Yes, I did.
And you were searched, you were detained for a period of time, and ultimately the police said to you that if you want this whole thing to go away, you'll give her the money, which you did, and she dropped the charges. The police let you go. You are suing her for the following: for the return of your $85, but that's a small part of your complaint, and the rest of your lawsuit has to do with the humiliation that you suffered as a result of the arrest, because it's your claim that the defendant breached her contract to you, which was a guarantee of success. You said that the treatment was not successful. The defendant has a counterclaim, I don't know, loss of income. It's a nonsense counterclaim. I don't understand her counterclaim. She'll explain it to me. So let me see how you found the defendant.
This is my evidence.
Just show me the ad. This is clear. Not only is it an offer, but it says that there is a guarantee that you lose 10 inches today, guaranteed, non-surgically. And this is what you saw.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me what happened when you went to see the defendant.
When I went to see her, also she told me when I called her about the ad, I was kind of skeptical about the ad, and I said, how can you lose that? And she said, oh, you can lose 10 to 30 inches. Check out my website. So I went to the website, and this was on her website. This says 10 to 30 inches. And it says guaranteed on there, too. So she told me I had nothing to lose because it was guaranteed, and she told me, or my money back. So I made an appointment. Before the body wrap started, I asked her again, this is guaranteed? We sat down. She said, oh, yes, it's definitely guaranteed. Look, you have the ad and everything. It was...
You have the ad. Listen to me, Ms. DiPietro. I don't want you to embellish anything. Do you understand? There are certain things that make sense, and there are certain things that don't make sense. You have the ad. The ad says guaranteed. Don't fabricate anything.
I'm not fabricating anything.
Yeah, okay. I'm just warning you. Don't fabricate anything about sitting down, getting the wrap, and talking about guaranteed again. Just tell me the truth. The truth is what's going to save you today. Do you understand?
Yes, I am telling the truth.
Okay. Then, you went to see her, and what happened when you took the body wrap?
She wrapped me up like a mummy from head to toe in these wet ace bandages. The only thing that was showing was my eyes. It was ice cold. She then proceeded, well, first she measured me, and she marked it where she measured me. And she had left the tape measure very loose when she first measured me. She was on the phone the whole time. She was measuring me, talking to some friends, laughing and everything else. And I was freezing at this point. The air conditioner's on, and it's soaking wet. Then she puts plastic bags on my hands and my feet to catch the water, and then an elastic. So now I'm walking like a mummy, water's dripping from me. Then she tells me to go exercise for almost an hour on an exercise machine.
What kind of exercise machine?
I think it was like one of those ski things, and then she had the steppers. She told me to pick out whatever I wanted, and so I did that for almost an hour. I fell off a couple of times because it was so wet, my feet. I had water dripping off me.
Got it.
So she said, the more you exercise, the harder you do. Oh, you'll get even more than the 10 inches. So I did do that as hard as I could. Then when the time was up, she put me behind a curtain and they unwrapped me. And then she measured me again, this time pulling the tape measure very tight. When she was done, I said, so did I lose? What did I lose? And I looked in the mirror right away. I knew. I said, I looked the exact same way. I said, what, you know, didn't I lose the 10 inches at least? And she said, no, you didn't. She goes, but I'll have to add it up, but I don't think you did. And I said, what? And she said, well, just go change. Never mind that. We'll talk about it when you're done. So I went and changed. I met her. She said, meet me back at my desk. So I changed up. I dried off the whole bit. I met her back there. And I asked her if I lost the 10 inches. She said, well, no, you didn't. And I said, well, then I'm not paying. And she said, well, you have to pay. I said, you told me it was guaranteed or I don't have to pay. And she said, no, I waived the guarantee. I said, when did you waive the guarantee? I never heard, you never said that to me. She goes, oh yeah, I mentioned it when I was wrapping you because your legs are too thin. Believe me, my legs are not too thin.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I have the right to waive the guarantee.
No, you can't waive a guarantee.
I wouldn't have wrapped her.
Pay careful attention to me.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle DePietro says esthetician Claudia Rathbun guaranteed she'd lose 10 inches with her herbal body wrap. Michelle claims Claudia won't honor her guarantee.
First of all, who do you work for?
I own the company, the Millennium Body. I am a licensee of an international company that provides these mineral body wraps. I've been doing the mineral body wraps for 3.5 years. I got involved in this business because of the results I obtained with the body wrap.
Okay, fine. Your ad says guaranteed. She says you didn't get the 10 to 30 inches that you say she was going to realize, and therefore she didn't want to pay you. Now, tell me about this waiver of the guarantee.
Okay. The guarantee is based upon head-to-toe measurements. There are 18 measurements from head to toe. I
understand now. I think that this is slightly deceptive. The advertising.
Okay.
Oh, yes, it is. Because when I look at that and I look at your picture, you see, and you said lose 10 inches, this lady looks like she's lost 10 inches around her waist.
Okay.
Pay careful attention to me, madam.
I am.
So when someone looks at this, they say, well, I'm going to lose 10 inches around my waist and my midsection. That would be terrific. What you're saying is, in the small print, which doesn't appear in this ad, you'll take measurement from the arm, measurement from the lower arm, measurement from the wrist, a measurement from the neck, a measurement from the bust, a measurement from here, measurement from the hip, a measurement from the thigh, a measurement from the calf, a measurement from the ankle, and all that is going to add up to 10 inches at the end of this wrap. Okay. When I say it's slightly deceptive, your picture is, along with the word guarantee, is deceptive. You have to understand that. It's designed to make it look as if you're going to lose weight and it's not going to be around your eyeballs. Okay. So, what I want to know is, when do you claim she waived the guarantee?
Okay. When Michelle met me, I arrived at my salon at the same time Michelle did, and we had a conversation explaining the procedure about body composition plays a part on whether one would get the 10-inch guarantee.
I don't believe that. Listen to me. I'm going to tell you what I told her. If you're trying to get a customer into your salon, you don't tell...
Sorry.
I don't believe that you told her on the phone that the guarantee really wasn't a guarantee. Not until she got there, if you told her at all. When she got there, maybe, if you said to me, when she got there, I said, well, I looked at your legs are too skinny, you may not get the 10 inches, but I don't believe, because common sense suggests to me, and my age suggests to me, that when you're in business and you're offering a guarantee and you got a live one on the phone, you're going to tell them, well, we made a mistake in the ad, there's no guarantee. So let's get real. She comes into this, you didn't tell her on the phone that there was no guarantee. Let's get to when she came into the salon.
Okay, well, I'm sorry you don't believe me in that regard.
I don't.
But there is a script
I don't.
that we're going.
No normal person is going to believe you that you put ads all over the place with a guarantee, and as soon as somebody calls you up on the telephone, you see how you're smiling? As soon as you get somebody on the telephone, you say, I just want to let you know before you come in, there is no guarantee. So. Let's get on. Let's get on and let's get real. You're a businesswoman.
It is not a miracle. It is not a miracle.
This, madam, is a miracle. Somebody can come in and get wrapped up for an hour and come out 10 inches slimmer.
From head to toe.
10 inches slimmer is a miracle. Is a miracle. That's what she came in for. She came in for a miracle. I mean, she may be a little bit of a wacky coming in for this kind of a miracle. I think she probably is a little bit of a wacky. Tell me about the guarantee and make it good.
All righty. We have them fill out a questionnaire which goes through how much they weigh, whether they're taking any medication.
Okay, I got it. I'll take a look at the questionnaire.
There's also a section number 11 which indicates target areas of desirous inch
Let me
loss,
see that, please.
which is filled out by
Let me see.
the patron.
Just why I want to see it. She filled this out, but I see she didn't sign it.
She did not purchase a package.
She didn't.
Of wraps.
Okay.
So that's the instance when she would sign that. Because
Oh.
this is a program. This is not a one-time deal where someone will lose a size in one wrap.
No. That's not what you say here, madam. That's clearly not what you say here. Let me read exactly what you say here. I understand that individual results may vary based on body composition and body size.
Correct.
I understand that the written inch loss guarantee applies to the first wrap only.
Correct.
Head to toe measurements. So what this says in plain English is you are guaranteeing 10-inch results for the first wrap. And you signed it.
But I have the right to waive the guarantee.
No, you can't waive a guarantee. Only she can waive the guarantee.
I wouldn't have wrapped her.
Pay careful attention to me. If I buy a car. No, make it better. Bird buys a car, because I want him to pay attention. Bird buys a car, a brand new car. That car is guaranteed from stem to stern for 3 years. He has the car for 1 week. The car blows up. He takes the car back to the dealership, and the dealership says, we waived the guarantee for your car because we knew when it came off the assembly line that the guy who was putting it together was really not wrapped too tight. So we waived the guarantee. What do you think he would do? What would you do, Bert?
I'll take it to Judge Judy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michelle DePietro says esthetician Claudia Rathman owes for an herbal body wrap that didn't work.
You cannot waive a guarantee. Somebody gave you very, very bad legal advice if they told you that you can make a guarantee here and then you, not the customer, could waive the guarantee. And I don't know whoever did that, but they got their legal license and closed the cover before you strike school. Do you understand? Okay. So you cannot waive the guarantee. Now, she paid you. Why did you pay her?
Because she told me, she said, you have to pay me. And I said, but you didn't meet your agreement. And she said, oh yeah, I waived it. Didn't you hear me when I was wrapping you? I said, no.
So you paid her.
She started to get extremely rude. And then she said, you're offending me. And then she said, you need to pay or I'm going to call the police. So being afraid, I've never been in trouble in my entire life except for maybe a car ticket or something.
Did you ever say to her, you better pay or I'll call the police?
No.
No, of course you didn't. I told you before, Miss DiPietro. Do not lie to me. And how do I know she's never said to you, you better pay or I'll call the police? Because you didn't put that in your complaint, which I read very carefully. I told you, tell the truth. You don't seem to be losing, but if you lie, you will. Do you understand?
Yes.
Right. See, I told her the same thing.
She is very intimidating, Your Honor.
She may be intimidating, and I believe she may be intimidating, or you may have been intimidated, but she never threatened to call the police. In any event, you paid her the $85, and then you went home and stopped payment on the check. That's what happened. Now, I want to see the complaint you filed with the police.
I didn't file a complaint per se to the police department.
What did you do?
When someone stops a payment or I get a bad check, we contact the local police department, the fraud unit.
Just a minute. There's a difference between a stop payment and a bad check.
Well, I asked the police department whether the procedure would be the same for a stop payment.
That's baloney. I don't believe that.
Well,
that's baloney.
Why
don't
not?
Believe it.
I asked them whether the procedure would be the same. They checked the general laws of the state of Rhode Island and said yes. So the procedure...
let me see what the general laws say.
I don't have the general...
Then I don't believe you, madam, because it's common sense.
There's my email to... There's my letter to Michelle, which was sent certified.
I don't care about your letter. You mean you were not asked to go in to file a complaint?
It wasn't a complaint. It was trying to collect the funds for a service rendered.
The police departments don't do that unless you know a cop.
That's exactly.
Unless you know a police officer, police departments don't try to collect. They send you to civil court.
No, Your Honor, not in the state of Rhode Island. Your first course of action is to send a certified letter to the person who writes a check that is not cashable or a stop payment. I've done this a few times with some bad checks.
Bad checks is different.
I've never had this instance before where someone stopped payment. But
You're going to listen to me. You're going to be successful because she played fast and loose. She told them she got a bad check and they brought you in. That's what happened.
No, I didn't.
Oh, I believe that that's true. I don't see anything different from you, madam. Police department does not handle stop payments. Stop payments are handled by civil courts. Bad checks are handled by the police department. Somebody passes a bogus check. She did not. She gave you a perfectly valid check to get out of your establishment and decided to stop payment on it because she decided that you violated the guarantee. You did not get the check back marked insufficient funds or no account by this person. You got the check back saying payment stopped. That leaves you a civil recourse because in the state of Rhode Island, which is last I heard, part of the United States of America, they do have civil courts. They do have small claims courts where you could go to get it. This was just easier for you. Easier for you to follow the same procedure as you had followed before, which is you call somebody at the police department and says, listen, I got another bad check. So you're suing for $1,500.
Correct.
You're going to get it. You're going to get it. You did the wrong thing. What you do is if you have a civil complaint, you go to civil court. You don't call your local friend at the police department. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step back. Counterclaims dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused.
Judge Judy was right on the money. She is a liar. In fact, I don't know how she's gotten away with this business for so long.
She harassed me when we appeared before the judge in Rhode Island.
I harassed her. Well, I'm sorry, let today speak for itself. I did no such thing.
Harassed me out of the courtroom all the way to the elevators and said that if my body wraps worked, why did I have a fat?
This woman, believe me, she could sell ice to Eskimos.